I'm a super cock kicked out of London, baby. 7 Fuzz, now we're out patrol. Everyone's having accidents lately. No one's suspicious at all. We're watching Hot Fuzz, baby, this evening. We're watching Hot Fuzz, baby, tonight. We're watching Hot Fuzz, baby, this evening. Gotta have some Hot Fuzz, gotta have some fun tonight. We'll watch some Hot Fuzz. We'll watch some Hot Fuzz. I need some Hot Fuzz. All the town elders are evil, baby, doing bad for the greater good. They are called the NWA now, matey, and they want me out of their hood. Gonna have some Hot Fuzz, baby, this evening. We're watching Hot Fuzz, baby, tonight. We're watching Hot Fuzz, baby, this evening. Gotta have some Hot Fuzz, gotta have some fun tonight. I need some Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz. Looking for some Hot Fuzz.
We saw you on a Tweeny Diamond. Get in the car. Get in the fucking car.
No, you got the wrong loud singer. I'm innocent, not Tim.
Hello and welcome to Blackdog number 142? 142. 142.
Did somebody put a question mark in your script there?
I haven't got a script. Fucking hell.
Teleprompter. It's got a Ron Burgundy.
That would just make this even more pathetic that we can ramble on this long talking shit and we actually write it down as a script.
141.
42.
142 and people still keep listening.
Well, actually, 142 is your age, so...
You're so funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. Anyway, so welcome to 142, and we'll be calling this one Caught by the Fuzz.
Yeah. Let's have that one. Unless we hear something in someone's feedback that sounds better.
Yeah, in which case we'll naturally change
that,
it.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And what feedback we do appear to have.
Jesus Christ
Holy
almighty.
fucking shit. Yes, we asked for a Thunderdome. Obviously, everyone's been saving up their Thunderdome credits.
Cool, I should say.
So we are doing a Thunderdome on Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost movie Hot Fuzz. And yes, we got about 28 fucking pieces of feedback, so hold on to your hats. This is going to be a bumpy ride.
Yep, I think this is
going for one of us anyway.
For one of us, yeah.
But anyway, so yes, so obviously because of the sheer amount of feedback, and because it is now, what is it? Oh, we've just started recording. It's 10 o'clock. Woohoo! We will just do a little bit of chat, and then we'll get in straight into it.
We've only got one piece of news that we will mention, and that's about the group.
Oh yes, the group.
Yes,
and then we'll have we've got to have a Jim's Moon's Profanosaurus. He's got Sailors on
they're only 30 seconds long, so what the hell?
Well, you hope so, anyway. Anyway, right, okay. Well, anyway, so Darren, how's your week been?
How's my week been?
Well, I have my tea. No Jaffa cakes this week, though.
No Jaffa. Oh, I'm disappointed. I really am disappointed. There's no Jaffa cakes. I should have bought some chocolate or something along, but
yeah, you fucker. Pay your poxy way.
I'll do it next time. All right, fine. I'm bringing in some chocolate next time.
come on.
I'll get the good quality stuff as well from Hotel Chocolat.
Oh God, yeah, nice.
Yes.
As you bloody should.
Okay, so
Anyway, go on, carry on.
let's see.
Silly old bastard cast.
What have I done this week? I can't quite remember.
See, you're going senile.
Exactly, I am going senile.
We're both going fucking old, aren't we? I mean, let's be honest.
But bits of us are falling apart. We're both in pain tonight, in one way or another.
My knee's killing me. I'm wearing glasses to read my fucking phone.
Yep.
And you're sitting there with chilblains and your head's falling off. I mean,
with my Han Solo Hoth jacket out there, keeping me warm from the. Even though it's not really that cold.
It did look like you were sort of childs escaping from the Thing. I wasn't entirely sure whether or not.
Do you know what? I felt like that. I felt like bloody what's his face from the Thing?
Keith David,
McCready.
Well, Kurt Russell.
Yeah, Kurt Russell. All I needed was the beard and the glasses and the hat, and that would have been it.
No, yeah,
Sorted.
yeah, it did. It looked a bit dodgy standing outside that door.
Yeah, you should have seen me last night with the mask over my face, the scarf and everything. I just looked like an axe
Remember
murderer.
what the judge told you?
I know.
Restraining orders, you're not supposed to do that.
But something I should actually mention, this week, watched a film called Anvil, The Story of Anvil.
Right.
Okay.
Is this a Looney Tunes film?
No. This is basically about, I suppose you could call it the real life Spinal Tap. Okay, this is... a band who have got an awful lot of very famous fans but have never made it. And there's people like, Slash and Lars Ulrich are on this documentary about this band, how they've influenced them and how they heard their first album. It was like, wow, this was a revelation, stuff like that. And they show you the guys during the 80s and they are, I'm sure this is what Spinal Tap was actually based on. Forget all the other bands.
Yeah.
Right, because there is one track they sing that does sound like Big Bottoms. Okay, but they've got things like, they're on stage and the lead singer, who's the lead guitarist, is playing his guitar with a dildo. Oh. And it's like, he's got like this bondage stuff on as well. So some of the lyrics are quite classic. I can't quite remember them now, but I remember listening to them thinking, Jesus Christ. Even though the tunes are actually not bad at all. And, you could see this band, had they got the right launch, I think...
Had they not played their guitar with dildos...
Yeah, then they would have got the right sort of attention and they would have gone somewhere. But it's... I've got to say, I've got to disagree with the review. You get the one line... from from the Daily Star. Oh, this is great, fantastic.
But shit whistle of the Daily Bugle.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. Yeah.
It's the line that says, I think it's from the Guardian or it's the Times, and it says, and it's absolutely hilarious. And I've got to say, watching it is not really anything hilarious about it at all. I mean, it's quite, as it goes on, you realise how desperate they're clinging to that dream.
But isn't that funny in itself? Or is it just crushingly depressing from our point of view in this mortal existence?
I don't know. It's just that in the end of it, I found myself rooting for them. It's kind of like you want them to do well.
Yeah.
And if anybody's not seen it, I do recommend it.
Yeah. Well, I've not seen it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, have a watch. It's an interesting thing. There are similarities with Spinal Tap though, apart from the lyrics. So that's apart from the song that I heard that sound like Big Bottoms.
Yeah,
they've also got this like
Curse of the Drummers.
No, who was the girl that took over Spinal Tap's manager? Where did she come from? Was she Eastern European or was she from?
Yeah, she was like the Yoko Ono kind of character, sort of brought in the girlfriend sort of thing.
Yeah, but where was she from? Was she American or was she from another country?
No, she was from England, wasn't she? I thought she was...
I can't quite remember.
It's been a while since I watched Spinal Tap.
But they do actually get this this woman as their... She writes to them. And she says, I've been a big fan of yours for many years.
Yeah.
I'd like to be your manager on a tour.
Oh,
and, as much as the lead singer is trying to say, oh, she's put her heart into this, she's done this, she's done that. From what I can see, she's got fuck all in the organisation department because it's like she hasn't even booked them tickets on a train. They're like depending on buying a ticket, and they get to this station to go on this tour of Europe, and all the tickets are sold out for the train. It's like, yeah, well done on that one, love.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's got no organisational skills whatsoever by the sounds of it.
Sounds exactly like Spinal Tap. You'll have to forgive my yawning. I'm not really yawning at you. I'm so tired.
No problem. One other thing as
Go on.
well. You remember the bit in Spinal Tap where they go to the airbase
Yeah.
and they play there?
Yeah.
There is almost exactly the same bit. It's frame for frame. They play it. They play at one of the band members' weddings, and you just see the actual. Most of the audience is just really unimpressed by the fact that there's this heavy metal band on stage at a wedding. They're expecting Agadoo,
Yeah.
and they get metal.
Playing with my dildo on a steel guitar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know, but all in all, it's actually quite touching in places, you know, and it's do they make it at the end? And there's this big build up to this thing they go to in Japan, but I'm not going to tell you anything. You know, it's like somebody offers them to come over to a concert in Japan,
Right.
and it's building up and building up and building up.
Yeah.
And the lead singer, and he's like, you know, he's now his resolve is starting to crack a little.
Yeah.
And he's just worried that they're going to show up there and there's like 6 people in the audience.
Yeah.
And then they go out on stage.
And there's 6 people in the audience.
I'll leave you to see that. But
Okay.
yeah, as I say,
I'm going to take a
all,
guess there's probably more than 6.
All in all, I thought it was a good film. Thought it was well done. And yeah, it's not hilarious. There are funny bits in it, but no.
Okay.
It's good chronicle of you know, somebody trying to live the dream.
Fair enough. And what else has been going on? Anything else?
Well, let's
Apart from your
see.
various bodily parts falling off.
Apart from that, yeah.
Have you not decided to turn up on your favourite show, Embarrassing Bodies or something?
I'm
You should
getting
do
there.
that.
I'm getting
Yeah?
there, but I haven't got one that's got pus coming out of it or anything like this. You know, if
Okay.
I've got something that, you know, because there's always someone on there that fires pus from like a
Spunk
fucking-
out of their
exactly, you know,
elbows
something
or
comes
something.
out. You know, I've got like it's like Embarrassing Bodies. Every time I have a wank, I shoot out my ear hole. You know, it's that sort of thing. What are you going to do for me? And I like sat there shocked.
Every time I have sex, my eyes fill with blood. What?
Exactly.
kind of thing. Oh.
So yeah. So no, I'm not going on with Embarrassing Bodies.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Give it a time.
Give it a time. Okay, well, my week's been, well, basically shoveling snow. That was the first thing. But work is basically me making a show reel now. That's essentially it. I've given up on work. I am making a very good show reel, I think. Yeah, I've made a nice little title card, got my reel in, got stuff. But I'm still looking at my escape course, escape studios. I'm looking at other courses. I'm talking to people in the industry. Got a few contacts. Got a few things going on there. Looking good. Obviously, if I do end up going back into the films and visual effects, this podcast will ultimately suffer on crunch days.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
But we'll see. But anyway, things are looking hopeful, but they're not looking brilliant. They're just kind of there.
I've noticed something. I'm noticing a parallel here. You see, because a little while after you announced that you were going to be made sort of redundant from your job, that's when HMV announced that they were going into foreclosure. So I think they guessed, fuck, what if he moves out of the area? We're fucked.
Oh shit, that's half our turnover.
Exactly.
He's going to have no disposable cash. What the fuck?
No.
Well, there you go, yeah. What else? Well, obviously we had the disaster with the computer.
yeah, just a bit.
Just a bit. It was kind of like a rolling slow explosion. Basically, the power supply broke, and the more astute of hearing may notice that actually there is no background noise from the computer anymore. And that's because we got a nice big power supply with a nice big fan that goes really slowly but keeps everything cool. Anyway, get that in. Friday night, I'm thinking, brilliant, plug it all in. And then I plugged in my graphics card and it went beep, and it just went off. I'm like, oh, that's not right. But then it seemed to come back on, and I thought, okay, cool. But then it went off, and the screen went off, and everything went off, and I'm like, oh, on the iPad. Hello, anyone? Does anybody know if there's anything going on with a power unit destroys your graphics card? And everyone's like, yeah, if
Except for Foxy.
Yeah, Foxy who's kind of like buy a Mac, but cunt.
It's your flange mode.
Your flange
has been broken.
My flange mode has been inside out. Yeah, and if he's
Kernel
listening,
sideboard.
and if he's listening while jogging, I hope you take a left turn straight into the sea. You cunt for that fucking comment. But anyway, so I ended up having to buy a new graphics card as well as a new power supply. So it costing me to the tune of 150 sovs in the end.
Wow.
Yes, wow, indeed.
But it works.
It does. And I put on Skyrim, and I can see forever.
You can now.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Lovely.
What else? I've been getting irrationally angry at really silly things.
You're telling us the stuff that you think we don't know.
It was just like this week, this whole thing with the tweenies.
Yeah.
Right, and the whole thing with on Facebook. Those of you who follow me on Facebook, I got a bit off me rockers on these fucking spam likes and dislikes. You know, we hit 3,000 likes, and my dad will buy me a puppy, and Steve Zuckerberg will personally parachute down and inseminate my mum with the intelligence with his intelligent semen. I don't know. It's just like, and I don't know. I was getting really angry with it, and then I saw one by a guy who's pro-gun lobby, right? That's the first thing. So firstly, I'm already kind of like twitching. And then I realised that this guy has got a picture of of basically a businessman who just happens to have a sheriff's badge badly sort of photoshopped onto his lapel.
Yeah.
And then onto the piece of paper that he's holding. And he's from Shutterstock. I found the picture. It's on Shutterstock. And it's like... And then you've got this whole letter that's apparently written to the President of the United States by this long-serving sheriff who's got 3 purple hearts, blah-de-blah-de-blah, and hit like and share if you agree. And it's like, saying, don't take away our liberties with these guns. And I was just like... I kind of lost it. With this guy. And I just went... Look, and I took the picture and I went, look, here's the Shutterstock picture. Here's a picture of a sheriff's badge. Here's the fact that the text is going at like a 45-degree angle to the fucking paper he's holding up. This is all spam. And I was like, right, it's fucking 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to tell everyone, fuck off.
So when do you expect a visit from the NRA then?
I don't know. I don't care. Fucking send them round.
Did you hear about the Gun Appreciation Day they held recently? 6 people got injured by bullets.
And they shot themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good. Maybe that's it. Maybe, you know what they could have done to fix that? Buy more guns.
Yeah, arm people.
Arm people.
Arm the dustbins.
There was not enough people with guns at that rally.
No, you need to arm the bullets.
Anyway, so, yeah, I don't want to get political and everything, but it was just that moment, and I kind of twitched. And I've been doing everything. The fucking microwave at work. People keep taking shit out of the microwave and leaving the microwave with a digit counter of like 3 seconds. It's like, what? The 3 seconds was just that too valuable for you? Why can't you just let it run down? So, what happens? People just come in and they open up their microwave, they type in a button number, and basically, because the 3's already on there, it doesn't change. And then they press go and it goes zzz, beep, beep, beep. So I'm getting obsessed now with going in and seeing these things, seeing this fucking microwave and going... clear, clear, and there's like people coming in and they're not noticing how I'm getting quite frustrated at the fact that they come in and they make their porridge and they set it to like 17 minutes and it's like
17 minutes for porridge
and it boils in like 30. They go, oh, thanks very much, and they take it out and it's got like 16 minutes and 23 seconds, and I'm like, you fucking cunt. So anyway, I think the redundancy is actually sending me mental.
I think it's a good thing you're being made redundant.
I think it's...
You need to leave now.
I think I've cracked. Yeah. I genuinely think I've lost the plot.
Marines, we are leaving.
Yeah. And on that note, I will say, February the 12th.
Yes.
Aliens.
Indeed.
The game, Colonial Marines.
If anybody out there is buying it on the Xbox.
On the Xbox.
Yes.
Specifically. I mean... Let's not be completely racist against the other games consoles. Other games consoles are available. They're not as good as the Xbox.
Yeah, but I haven't got any other games consoles except a Wii, and I don't expect that to be on there.
And it's on the PC as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I haven't got a machine that's powerful enough to even run the fucking opening credits for it. So
I have now.
Oh, shut your face.
Anyway, basically, what we'd quite like to do and I'm just springing this on you now because you're looking slightly worried. But basically, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make Team Blackdog.
That would be great.
A Marine Team Blackdog. Now, I know there's a multiplayer thing in Colonial Marines called Escape.
Yeah.
And basically, or Escape the Compound, which is basically 4 Marines fighting their way out of the compound, which sounds really fucking good.
Yeah.
But I think there is one just called, I think it's called Defense or Survival or something like that. And basically, it's up to 16 to 20 Marines.
Ooh, nice.
And it's just like, it is like the sort of Gears of War survival mode, sort of like, you're going to have someone with a machine gun, you're going to need someone with like a sort of short range heavy weapon, and that sort of thing, and just keeping themselves, surviving for as long as they can.
I think it would be great if they had,
and I'd quite like to get in on that action.
Well, I'm there on the day of release. That's it. I'm picking that up. If there are any shops left to actually buy it from.
Well, yeah, HMV's been given a lifeline, hasn't it?
Yeah, let's have a look at that, shall we? Okay, restructuring specialists, right? You know what that means, didn't you? As somebody,
sack everyone.
Well, yeah, exactly. As somebody mentioned on Facebook, they brought it up, and it was like, I wonder how long it's going to be before the actual stores are turned into the, the world's biggest T-shirt shop, or was it the London pullovers? Or whatever it is they call them. The shitty little shops that show up all over London.
Yeah.
Bloody tourist crap. And,
very big savings.
Yeah, very big savings. So it's going to turn into that. They're not going to keep HMV the way it is.
If they go back, what they need to do with HMV is basically scale it back in what it actually serves. You don't need a big fucking technology department in HMV.
No.
You don't need a book department in HMV. You don't need a fucking anything in HMV apart from games, music, video. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
And that's essentially it. And to be quite honest, hardly anyone buys any music. So get rid of the fucking music. Let iTunes take that load. And there you go. It's music, and it's just games and video. That's all that people buy. It's still the thing that people collect.
Yep.
And, until Steambox comes out, and then that'll be the end of the games. But the thing is, at the moment, that's the way to do it. And then you just bulk it up with things like iTunes and iTunes cards and digital service. But as someone I know said on Twitter, and I got to agree with this, right? Game, HMV... Waterstones, all these other sort of big old sort of like corporations which are, company on street sellers, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
They've had close on 10 years to develop a decent online system to buy the wares through them. And they haven't. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but if you're still sitting there with your lump of fucking flint making fire, then the guy with the flamethrower over here is going to come and toast your ass. And that's the thing. HMV has sat there on their ass and like, no, we'll have loyalty points.
Well, don't even go into the loyalty points. Loyalty points are fucking useless with HMV.
No, but they're still being honoured. In the Oxford Street. So
there was an article that said that HMV were under the belief that people would just go to them because of their name.
Exactly.
Which is like, pure arrogance.
Exactly. That's sticking your head in the sand and hoping that no one's going to notice the rest of your arse sticking out. I mean, if you've got 10 years and Amazon's been showing you how to do it, Play's been showing you how to do it, even though Play's now gone under. But the thing...
Yes, they have, haven't they?
But, at the end of the day, Kindle, Amazon, those guys have been showing you how to do it. It's like... What do you need? How much more, heads up that this is the way it's going do you need? Why do you need to sit there and go, yes, everyone will come to our store to buy DOA for £2.50? No, the piles of shit, stop stocking it up.
Yeah.
Get films that people want. Look at what's being sold. Get that. And be like a supermarket. Don't keep this shit sitting there forever. I mean, fucking hell. I mean, I saw in like the Blue Cross sale there.
Yeah.
It's like, who in their right mind, even for a £5, would go and buy the Spirit?
Yeah.
No one. Not even Frank Miller, who fucking made it, would buy the Spirit for a £5. And it's like, but they got like 4,000 of the fuckers sitting in a box.
Yep.
And it's like, who reads these reviews? Who's aware of anything online and goes, the Spirit, there'll be a demand for that. We'll get 4,000 of the fuckers and put them in a box. Bollocks! No one's gonna fucking buy that shit. And if it does, I have 4 of them. If they sell out, go, right, fine, we'll buy some more. We'll bring some more in for you. But or get it online. But don't have like 10,000 fucking copies of John Carter from Peckham or whatever his name is, and expect that to sell when it's like 35 quid on 3D Blu-ray. It's like,
the best place to get that from, if you actually want to go in and buy it, get your hands on it straight away, is Tesco's. They sell it for 12 quid.
Exactly. And why is Tesco's doing well on that sort of stuff? Because they only store the stuff that people want. They've got a supermarket mentality. If it doesn't sell after a couple of weeks, then it doesn't stay on the shelves. You don't have a rack of stuff going off into the sunset.
Yep.
The rest of it is like, please come and buy it online. Fucking Tesco's has beaten HMV in media sales.
The Tesco's online stuff is for the fucking dog's bollocks.
Exactly.
You can actually ask them to deliver it to your local store. Instead, if you've got a problem with, your post getting there, fuck that. Just ask them to deliver it to your local store. Go down there one evening, pick it up.
Well, I'll give you a good example of that. Even fucking Waitrose does that now.
Yeah.
It's like we bought a DAB digital radio that Carol wanted. From John Lewis. Said deliver it to the Waitrose down the end of our road, and they did. And so when the snow hit, it was like, oh, we're not going up to London to pick this thing up. We're going 400 yards down there. It's like, brilliant. But
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. But HMV, no, we've got to have like 75 copies of fucking Biodome with Paulie Shaw at 7 quid. Because no one buys it, but fuck it, it's got to be there. Oh,
if you don't pay the over the top, package and posting charge, you'll get it in about a week.
If you're lucky. But anyway, on the bright side, all the shit covered goggles coming up, we'll be able to take care of that
in the Blue Cross sale.
The Blue Cross sale, HMV.
Yeah.
We might even refloat HMV off the back of this.
We might do actually.
Dear.
I'm paying for those with cash. I'm not fucking putting them on my credit card because they'll show up.
They'll show up as a record, won't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to hear whether or not people think next week's films are shit cover goggles or not.
So kind of
a culty, undecided one.
But we should get on. We should get on with this because I'm remembering now how much feedback we got, and it's like, shit.
Yes. One of us is going to be very unhappy, I suspect, by the end of this evening.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so before we do that, let's have a brief interlude from our good friend, Mr. Jim Moon of Hypnobobs. Take it away with this week's Profanosaurus.
Gristle thistle. Noun. A persistent purple-headed weed that often rears up in unwanted and embarrassing locations, known for gushing nectar which makes embarrassing and unsightly stains, and for populating the cast of the Expendables movies.
Ever enlightening as always, Jim.
Enlightening and terrifying.
And slightly worrying. Well, thank you very much for that, Jim. I'm sure we'll hear from you later on in the show. And obviously, if you want to hear Jim's Quartet of McClure podcast, where the land that time forgot at the Earth's core roamed with monsters of warlords of Atlantis. I was trying to make a sentence, it didn't fucking work. But anyway, it's a McClure-a-thon over at Hypnobobs this week, and very good it is too. Gave me quite a few good smiley memories. I was quite happy about that. And he does a really good impassioned plea about appreciating special effects pre-Star Wars, which I thought was a really good argument for it. Even if Doug McClure and those films don't interest you, I would recommend listening to it just for that bit, because it was really well done.
Those
it was really nicely
Those films are dear to my heart. Those
They
things
are.
like Journey to the Centre of the Earth, The Land That Time Forgot.
That's right. The People That Time Forgot.
Yeah.
The Warlords of Atlantis.
Do you know what my endearing memory, or should I say my only memory of the Warlords of Atlantis, is actually this whole group of Atlantean warriors trying to run along the bottom of the sea.
And they all look like Slade.
Yeah, they've got these great big sort of like white sort of helmet things on.
That's it, yeah.
You know, I think conch shells or something.
Yeah, conch shells, that's it. Yeah.
That's my one memory of that film. I've watched it before, but I'll have to go back and have a butchers at that again.
Right, okay. Well, okay, so listen to Jim on Hypnobobs, which you can find on hypnagoria.com, iTunes, and geekplanetonline.com, and Rogue 2 Podcasting Network. Yeah, I don't even know the address for that, but there you go. Anyway, so, right, let's not dally about. Let's not wait around. Let's not hold this off any longer. Let's get into the Thunderdome.
And I wonder if our opinion's gonna change. Is this film any good, or is it just deranged? We can't seem to make our minds up. One of us likes it, but the other don't. So we'll have to sort it out in Thunderdome.
Okay, so first Thunderdome of 2013. It's a strange one. I've got to be honest with you. It was picked because it was one film that I knew that one of us liked and the other one didn't.
Yeah,
I would be honest with you and say that there's probably other films out there, but it was a sort of last minute thought. And I think Dave Giacola bringing it up in one of his feedbacks made us kind of went, "Ooh, yes." But anyway,
yeah, we'll do that one.
So, right, let's get on with it. Hot Fuzz, directed by Edgar Wright, produced by Naira Park, Tim Bevan, and Eric Fellner, written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, starring Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, music by David Arnold. Where are we? Studio that made it was Working Titles. It was released on the 14th of February 2007. And it had a running time of 121 minutes, was made for a budget of 8 million and made 80 million at the domestic box office.
Wow.
Get past all the bits. Edgar Wright had decided that he wanted to write a cop film because there isn't really, quote unquote, it really isn't any traditional cop films in the UK. And we felt that every other country in the world had its own great tradition of cop action films, and we had none. Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg spent 18 months writing the script. The first draft took 8 months to develop, and after watching 138 cop-related films for dialogue and plot ideas, and conducting over 50 interviews with police officers for research, the script was completed after another 9 months. The title was based on two-word titles of action films of the 80s and 90s. In one interview, Edgar Wright declared that he wanted to make a title that had a very little meaning, a bit like Lethal Weapon, Point Break, Executive Decision. In the same interview, Pegg joked that when many action films titles were chosen, all those titles seemed to be generated from two hats filled with adjectives and nouns and just, okay, that'll do. Pegg and Wright have referred to Hot Fuzz as being the second in the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, with the first being Shaun of the Dead and future project World's End being the third. In preparation for the role of the film, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost had to follow certain requirements. Pegg's contract stated that he had to adopt a strict diet and use 3 personal trainers to prepare him for the physically demanded scenes of the film. Frost was asked by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg to watch around 20 action films to warm him up for his role as police officer, but he decided to only watch Bad Boys 2. During the latter half of 2005, Working Title approached several towns in southwest England looking for an appropriate filming location. Pegg commented, "We were both from the West Country, so it seemed like it was the perfect and logical thing to drag those kind of ideas and genres and those cliches back to our beginnings where we grew up, so you could see the high-octane, balls-to-the-wall action in Frome, Stow on the Wold," and others. After being turned away, the company settled upon Wells in Somerset, Wright's hometown. Wright had commented, and Wells was very picturesque. I love it, but also wanted to trash it. The Wells Cathedral was digitally painted out of every shot in the village, as Wright wanted the Church of St Cuthbert's to be the centre building for the fictional town of Sandford. Sandford is also the fictional town name used during national police training when any role-playing exercise is taking place. So they always make up this town. However, Bishop's Palace is identifiable in some shots. Filming also took place in the Hendon Police College, including driving school, skid pans and athletic track. While shooting scenes in their uniform, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost were often mistaken for genuine police officers and asked for directions by passers-by. Filming commenced on March 19th, 2006 and lasted for 11 weeks. After editing, Wright ended up cutting half an hour of the footage from the film. There's lots of stuff on homages, but basically it comes down to the fact that they basically ripped it from every single fucking DVD Blu-ray of the 80s and 90s, but primarily Super Cop, he's the cop that can't be stopped, Point Break and Bad Boys 2. They also had used parodies of films such as The Wicker Man, which also obviously included Edward Woodward, which is why when he blows up at the end, it's, oh dear God, no. But anyway, critical reception was the film was met with critical acclaim, almost rated as highly as Shaun of the Dead, and had a 91 certified fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a Metacritic score of 81 out of 100. Ollie Richards of Empire said that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, after almost a decade together, clearly so comfortable in each other's presence, they feel no need to fight for the punchline, making them terrific company for 2 hours. Johnny Vaughan of The Sun already called the film the most arresting Britcom of 2007.
Yeah. You did it in the wrong voice. The most arresting.
Yes. And The Mirror gave Hot Fuzz 2 out of 5, though, stating that many of the jokes missed their target as the film becomes more action-based. The Daily Mail also shared The Mirror's view, saying that its lack of any serious content means that too much of it is desperately unamusing and unamusingly desperate. Anthony Quinn of The Independent said, the same impish spirit as Spaced is uncorked here, but fatally indulged. And I'll leave it there. So, let's not beat around the bush.
Nope.
Let's find out which one of us sits on what side, and start with you, Darren. What did you think of Hot Fuzz?
Well, I will come down on the side of, yes, I love it.
Right. Everyone knows where I am now.
Yes, indeed. You're on the dark side of the Force.
I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely.
We don't know yet.
I bet I fucking am.
Well, we'll see.
Anyway, carry on.
Back to the film. Watching this again after so long, it's kind of like there's a lot of films with stuff that goes on in the background that I never noticed before, right? Stuff that made me laugh when I spotted it. It's like there's one scene in it where they've got a swear box, right? And they've got 4 swear words on it, right? And every single word, right? All the swear words like knob and all that lot, they're all misspelt with like an asterisk or something like that, except the word cunt, which is just said cunt on the box.
Yeah.
So I love stuff like that. And when he goes to see his girlfriend,
Kate Blanchett.
Is that who it was behind the mask?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
She never takes it off, so you never see who it is.
Yeah.
But it's the bloke who walks by and goes, hello. that sort of thing.
The bloke in the background.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going out with Steve.
Does he look like the sort of bloke I'd go out with?
Oh. The bloke,
No, it's John. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so for me, the humour works. All right, there are one or two jokes that repeat themselves. There's the thing with the cornetto, which kind of gets hammered a bit. You know, the whole thing of them buying more cornettos, you know, which they could have cut back on. You know, once he's like, okay, that's fine. But I think it's used 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's like the second time was all right, but then the third time it's like, you know, you've used that joke already. But apart from that, I love the fact that you've got this action movie set in such a quaint town, you know, and you've got Timothy Dalton as a supermarket manager. And, I'm expecting to go, you bloody bastards. But no, he never said that.
Yeah.
I do love the bit where he finally gets caught on the spike.
Oh, it's really hard.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love it to death.
Yeah.
So to me, the quick cuts I thought were actually more appropriate for this film than they were for Shaun of the Dead. Just because it's supposed to be some of those scenes are supposed to be quite frenetic and quite, energetic. You know, and it's like getting to the point straight away. So they didn't annoy me at all.
Right.
The cuts. They kind of work for me.
Okay.
Let's see. And the cast they've got in it as well. What a fantastic cast. You know, everybody, like I say, from Timothy Dalton to Edward Woodward.
Yes.
You know?
Iwa Woowa.
Exactly. Billy Whitelaw's in there as well. It's like, Jesus Christ, this is like, the cream of British acting is kind of in there.
Who else? I mean, there's fucking Adam Buxton.
Yeah, he's in there as well.
Yeah. And then,
was it Steve Merchant is in there?
Yeah. Jim Broadbent. Martin Freeman.
Yep.
Steve Coogan. Bill Nighy.
Yeah. See, just loads and loads and loads of these great sort of, actors or bit part actors, character actors, whatever you want to call them. So, yeah, no problem with the cast at all. I love the whole Bill Bailey thing where it's like,
nobody tells me nothing.
Yeah, it's like, his brother comes out at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There are some nifty little, nice little nods. I mean, do you see the book he's reading? Because one of them's reading an Ian Banks book, and then the other one's reading the culture novels, which is Ian M. Banks.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Little things like that. That again, it's that sort of thing. It's like I quite like that. I mean, it's quite cool.
Yeah, the little nods to stuff in it, and I like the whole, them going off to watch the films at, what's his name? Nick's house, or his character.
Danny's.
That's it. Yeah, Danny's house. And when he opens the big video room, it's like, by the power of Grayskull.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that as well. I just really, really enjoy this movie, and it's a bit, I don't know if you can call it a guilty pleasure, but it's one of them sort of movies that actually, I mean, it leaves me feeling happy.
Yeah.
It leaves me in a really good mood. Especially at the end when Nick's kind of finally integrated with the rest of the team and he started making jokes. I love the detective characters as well in it. Was it the two Andys?
Yeah, the two Andys, which is
Paddy
Constantine and Tim Spall, who we last saw getting his arm broken and a penis snake shoved in his gob.
Was that him?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Because I know he was in Shaun of the Dead as the shop worker.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim Spall.
Wow.
Rafe Spall, sorry.
I was going to say,
it isn't. Not Timothy Spall. Timothy Spall's from was it?
Yeah.
From
he's not related, is he?
Yes, he is. Son.
It's a son, yeah? Right. Okay.
Yeah, Rafe Spall, sorry. But yeah, Rafe Spall was in Prometheus as well as this and Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, I like that. I like the... I do like the bit where he goes in to get all the guns and everything as well, and he comes out looking a bit like a stag beetle on the back of a horse, with the two sort of shotguns. The copper who can't speak English properly. The little things like that. Whenever there are scenes in that when the female copper that's with them, she makes a joke about
and he says
like tits or cock.
Cock. Cock.
Brilliant.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Yes.
So That's me, okay? Because I know we've got so much to do.
Yes.
I'm just going to end it there because I'm just going to end up saying, yeah, I really like this, really like that.
Yeah. Is there anything you didn't like? I'm going to ask you that just simply because I'm going to use it as my lead. Go on.
Well, it was the overuse of the cornetto joke.
Yeah.
I that was the only thing that really kind of, don't use that again.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think there's really anything that upsets me about the movie apart from that. Oh, one other little thing to watch for in the background. At the beginning of the film, when it talks about it's discussing Nicholas Angel and the fact that he's a super cop. Apparently, if you look at all of the certificates he's got for the operations he's involved in, you've got Operation Takedown, Operation Shakedown, Operation Putdown, and it's like they're all something down.
Oh, right.
So nice little thing to watch out for there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't, as I say, it leaves me feeling good watching that movie. I was feeling pretty low last night, and it managed to cheer me up. So,
No, that's good. That's good. I mean, what I will say, I will preface my
go ahead,
comments.
your turn.
No,
I've done my bit now.
No, because I was going to say, because the way I preface my comments with saying that this film is not an awful film, okay? This is not coming from a position where I'm sitting there going, this is like the worst film I've ever seen. It's not. Absolutely not.
We've seen a damn sight
We've
worse
seen
than
damn
this.
sight worse. So I'm prefacing all of this stuff by just saying all the stuff I comment on,
Yeah.
it is basically my own personal opinion on how I feel this film could have been and what we actually got. I mean, I think... I mean, let's just start off with my credits because otherwise you get someone coming in and going, "No, yes, but you don't like this." Basically, I love Spaced. I love it to death. Right, so that's the first thing. Not so keen on Big Train. I like bits of it, but I find it hit and miss.
I've got to agree with you there because I bought the entire Big Train thing, the series, and I must admit, I think the one that made me laugh out loud the most was the bit about the Jesus working in an office.
Yeah.
And he's got a plate full of sandwiches and he pulls off the sandwich and it's got something like, "Ha ha, you big twat," written on it.
Yeah.
And then he walks into the office, he says, "You," and then somebody moves out of the way and it's the devil sitting there. It's like, "What? Me?"
Yeah.
Oh, I see. The sandwich has got like a coin in it or something.
Yeah.
It breaks the tooth on it.
Breaks the tooth, yeah. Well, but that's the thing. And I loved Shaun of the Dead. At least last time I watched it. I haven't watched it recently, but I loved it. And the thing that gets me with Hot Fuzz is there's a number of things that get me with Hot Fuzz. Firstly, I feel that editing style, that it's like, it feels like it's intrusive. That's the first thing. And once you notice an editing style like that, it's just you're either going to go with it and that's fine, or it's going to wind you up. It's going to just wind you up, like Tony Scott kind of fucking editing, Man on Fire, where it's like 65 images all overlaid over the top of each other, one painted green and the other one's wound backwards and another one's set on fire and they fucking load them over and
Paint it on a filter.
and it's like, that's fine, and I understand what the reason they're doing this. They're trying to do all that sort of high octane action thing. But if I hadn't already seen this editing style in Spaced and in Big Train and in Shaun of the Dead, I'd be able to kind of like go, okay, I understand why you're putting this in this film. But actually, it isn't. It's the same. It's in all three of those.
Are you sure it was in Big Train? Because I don't remember that sort of quick cut editing thing.
No,
being
but I mean,
used
let's be honest.
in there.
That was like start of career kind of stuff. So it was kind of rough, ready.
It's Edgar Wright that's more.
Yeah, exactly.
But
he did it. Didn't he
to
do
blame for that?
But didn't he kind of? I don't know. Recall correctly that he did a couple of the sketches. He directed a couple of the sketches.
I think the first time
I may
they
be wrong
actually
on that
met,
one.
I think it was when they were doing, getting Spaced actually together.
Well,
I think it was
okay,
when they finally
okay.
got
But
doing their thing together.
The point still stands.
I could be wrong, of course.
Well, okay. Well, one of us is wrong, but
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter in this case because the point still stands is that the editing style is in Spaced. The editing style is in Shaun of the Dead.
Yep.
And then the editing style's in Hot Fuzz, but it's repeated every 5 fucking seconds. And I got so cocking annoyed with it. It's just like, just show me the character walking from left to right. Don't fucking keep shoving bits of obscuring fucking set pieces running around in front of me just to make it look all dynamic, because what's happening here is you're annoying me. And it's like, okay, the first couple of times, sort of let's repeat his life over and over again. So let's see him take his coat out, let him see, put his coat on, put his hat on. Fine, we do that. Then we do it again. Then we do it again. Then we do it again. And then we go to the pub. And then we do drink 1, drink 2, drink 3, drink 4, drink 5, drink 6. It's like, just fuck all that shit off, because you just wasted like 10 minutes of my time just wanking about with the camera. And it's just like... And you've told me nothing, and the story hasn't progressed anything, and you've just wasting my time shoving fucking zippity-zappity images all across the screen with zero content. And that kind of deflated me from the start. Now, the second thing is that some of the humour really works, absolutely. But in other bits, the humour kind of goes... It's like... Oh God! Okay, fine. Right, we're gonna have to have the spacisms. We are gonna have to have the hello, and all that sort of stuff. Some of them, like I say, work a treat. But then there's other bits like the two Andys, which after about 5 minutes, you just think, okay, now you've just created two utterly stupid characters, and they're not actually doing anything, and they're just there to be annoying. And then you realise everyone's being annoying, and it's like. Oh, it's little problems. It's not big problems, but they all start to pile up. And then by the time you get to the thing like, which is my biggest bugbear, which is if you're going to spoof something, if you're going to parody something, understand that the audience will either pick it up or they won't. And if they don't shove it down their throats and try to make them understand. Because if you're doing that, you're trying too hard and the spoof is obviously not fucking working. My example is Shaun of the Dead, right? No real references to zombies. No real Romero kind of someone standing there going, I'm going to watch Day of the Dead. I'm going to watch Night of the Living Dead. No one sits there and actually explicitly says, this is what I'm ripping off. Like Young Frankenstein, you get all the stylistic homages to the Universal films and all this kind of stuff, and it's all there for you to see and you to accept. Same goes for Blazing Saddles, Airplane, all of these things. But never in any of these things does someone sit down and go, have you seen Airport 77? Or have you seen, The Searchers? Or have you seen, James Whale's Bride of Frankenstein? No one sits there and throws it in your face and goes, Bad Boys 2, we're going to watch that. Have you seen this film? It's called Point Break. Point Break has this really good bit where he lies on the floor and he shoots up in the air, and then I'm telling you about it. Then I'm going to show you it in a completely different part of the film. Then I'm going to parody it right at the end of the film. It's like, yes, I fucking get it. You're ripping off fucking Michael Bay action movies. You're ripping off Catherine Bigelow. That's fine. Cool, I kicked
the stand. Sorry.
Kicky the stand.
My leg's gone dead.
But the thing is, it's like, it felt ham-fisted. It didn't feel natural. It didn't feel like they were doing a parody not only for the love of it, but also because they knew that the audience would get it, or they didn't trust that the audience would get it. And that's the best parody, funny enough, is the Wicker Man stuff. All the sort of like the creepy villagers, everyone everyone's in on it. That stuff worked well, although of course did rip off in some respects from Scream, which itself was a parody. That whole thing of the multiple killers and all that kind of stuff. And that is fine. Let you make the connections. You can sit there and go, that's clever. Or the M&M Bank stuff. And I get that. That's lovely. I love all that. Because you take away from it what you bring to it. But this was kind of like, this is for the dumb people in the audience. I'm going to show you Point Break. I'm going to show you the scenes from Bad Boys. I'm going to talk about it over and over again. I'm going to talk about scenes from The Killer where you're jumping through the air with two guns. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to show you it. I'm going to show you it repeatedly, and then you're going to get to do it. There's your parody. No, that's not how you do fucking parody. Because clearly we've seen it done by the same people a lot better. Fucking in Spaced parodies, the fucking end of the first season of Spaced was just genius, where it does the Empire Strikes Back finale.
Yeah.
And it's like, Do we need to have anyone show us Empire Strikes Back? Do we need to have anyone sit there and show you the closing scene of Empire Strikes Back? No. It just does it. It just does it. It just lays it out in front of you.
I get the impression, and apologies to our American audience out there.
I know what you're about to say.
That maybe they thought that this was, they wanted to get it out there to America, and some studio suit that said, "Oh, you've got to overemphasize stuff because otherwise I won't get it." And it's like, so you're not giving credit to the American audience that they might actually understand.
Or even it could be the other way, the English audience, because this stuff is so ingrained in that sort of straight to DVD kind of culture.
Yeah.
That some people over here wouldn't have even got it. But that was the thing. It just, if you're going to do parody, do it properly, do it with love, and understand your audience is either going to get it or they ain't. Don't fucking ram it down their throats. And this film spent a good 20% of its runtime explaining the jokes before it showed you them. Whereas something like, like Young Frankenstein would just let you just absorb it. And it's like, you either get it and go or you don't, and you go and try and find out more about it. You either enjoy it on its own terms or you enjoy it as a parody. But that's the thing. You don't sit there and go, look, this is the scene from fucking Bride of Frankenstein. Look, there it is. And I bet you, and then have a character say, oh yes, what we'll do is we'll, we make her a bride, then maybe an electric bolt might give her a white strike up the side of the head. It's like, no, you wouldn't get that. Because why? Because it's clunky and it's boring and it's just patronising. And that's what Hot Fuzz does all the time, all the way through. It's just like, no one's going to get this gag. So we'll have it, we'll re-emphasise it over and over again. There it is again. There it is again. There it is again. No, there it is again. Now let's have a whole scene where they're actually watching Point Break, so we can put Point Break on the telly so you can actually see the scene before we show you it. It's like, fuck off. And I know I'm going to be in the minority with this film. I just know it. But the fact that because Peg and Frost have a natural chemistry, and Edgar Wright's directing style doesn't annoy everyone, but it just seems to me that the film gets by on their charm, and it gets by on the subtle parodies, and it gets by on the subtle humour and the good humour. It doesn't get the love that Shaun of the Dead gets, because it has a love for the genre it's sending up. It's just going, I know, we're going to make an action film, we're going to parody it. How are we going to parody it? I know, we'll do Michael Bay explosions, we'll show you a Michael Bay explosion first, and then we'll show you it in Sanford, so you can go, ooh, yeah, I see. It's like, potted history of action films 101. Here's the real thing. Now we'll talk about it. Here it is replicated in Sanford. Ha 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 ha. No. That's not how you do parody. Just ain't. Because if you don't get it, then fucking drumming it in ain't gonna fucking help. So anyway, that's
right. So to
sum up.
Yep.
Because I know we're looking at the time here, aren't we?
Yeah.
But the thing is,
I want to make sure we've both had enough time to speak our piece. That's also.
Well, I mean, if you got anything to come back on me on that,
no, I haven't. No, that's your side. We have put on both our arguments.
Okay. Well, like I say, I think. In its entirety, as a comedy film, it's okay. It's not outstanding. It's not better than Shaun of the Dead, I don't think. It's not even as good as Spaced. I think it's a kind of big budget, big train sketch. Because there's bits of it that just feel like this is a BBC Two comedy sketch that's gone too far. Like the shootout in fucking Summerfield. Starts off as a nice idea, goes on for fucking far too long, and then ends up with like going off the rails in this kind of like, I know, we're going to just have all these guys with shotguns, unable to shoot anyone, and then they're going to basically kill two people by using pushchairs. It's like, it does just, that feels like TV. So overall, it feels like a TV sketch blown up, with a script that's not nearly as clever as it thinks it is, with a directorial style that's, for me at least, really rather annoying, because it's using too much style over substance. And while you can use those flourishes, you don't have to pummel them at you. And that's the thing. I think it's a blunt object. The whole film is a blunt object, whereas Shaun of the Dead is quite nice and subtle and lets you make the connections, lets you enjoy it for what it is. This basically just turns around and goes, look at the parody, look at the parody, look at the parody. Here's a funny fucking cut.
So you didn't like it then? Sorry, I'm thinking any minute now. I'm going to bring that in.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
okay.
I mean, overall, it's not a film. It's not a film I actively seek out. If it's on telly, I might watch it. If there's nothing else on, I would. If I had Shaun of the Dead and I had Hot Fuzz, I'd watch Shaun of the Dead every time. If Hot Fuzz was on telly and Shaun of the Dead was on telly, I'd watch Shaun of the Dead. If Hot Fuzz was on and nothing else was on, then I'd watch Hot Fuzz. But that's the extent to which I get enthused about it. And I'm kind of hoping that World's End will just try and have that kind of love put back on it again. I don't want this kind of I don't want to have a scene where every single one of the characters is sitting there in a hotel room prior to their piss up watching Independence Day and then watching Armageddon and then walking down the street going, oh, you remember that film Deep Impact? Or something like that. You just kind of fucking... And then 5 seconds later, Deep Impact basically happens in the Mile End Road. Subtlety is the key, and that's what makes it work. Charm of the characters, fine, love it. Acting, yep, can't argue with that. But just fucking ease up on the you're a stupid cunt audience. Because that just winds me up. Now, I know, like I say, I'm going to be in the minority with this, and I know you're saying I might not be, but I've got a sense of this one.
Well, let's find out and see what people think.
Okay, let's roll the feedback jingle.
Do it.
Now put your hands up, here online, doing real fine. We're doing our podcast thing. It's called Blackdog, it's not like a joke. Is anyone there listening? What do you think of our show? Let us know by MP3 or email. Just get it to us, it ain't no fuss. We'll even read your Twitter rings. Cause if you like us or you hate us, send some feedback in. Got a geek and punch and put some feedback in. If you think my voice is sexy, put some feedback in. Man, we really like it if you put some feedback in.
Right, okay, so let's get some feedback sorted. We'll just have to blast through these, I think, unless there's some major point raised. We'll start off with Spaceman 300, aka Chris Johnson, who's the fastest feedbacker in, literally coming in about 15 minutes after the last podcast went up. So I don't know quite how he managed to watch the entire film, but there you go.
There's a blipvert.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so he writes, hello, Lee and Darren. I really like Hot Fuzz because it's a great parody of every action cliche and it's fun. From the man of few words, Lord of Crap Spellers, Chris Johnson. So,
short and to the point. Excellent
there you go.
Stuff.
One to you, sir. So, next up we have Gareth Lloyd, I believe.
Gareth Lloyd. Hooray for Gareth Lloyd.
Gareth Lloyd.
No, I'm just going to find Gareth.
You got to scroll right to the bottom. You see, just so you know, guys.
There we go.
Darren's got the iPad.
I'm just technologically impaired.
He is. You might want to sit a bit further forward as well.
I'm going to, yes.
So Darren's got
the heat from the microphone.
Darren's got the iPad, and I've got the iPhone. I'm sitting here with my fucking glasses that I can see through space and time with.
Yeah, we are just falling apart at the seams.
And Darren's wearing one of my fleeces
because I'm feeling the cold.
we must look like a saga holiday in Bridlington.
I think so. Anyway, so Gareth Lloyd writes,
yes.
Hi guys. Hi Gareth.
Hello, Gareth.
Hot Fuzz, well, it's definitely rose tinted for me. It's not as great as Shaun of the Dead, but it's a nice little movie in its own right. It's a good mix of Midsummer Murders, The Wicker Man, and excellent examples of action movie cliches performed by a host of solid and familiar British actors, all of whom are having great fun, and it's all topped off with a great soundtrack. The main cast do really well. Simon Pegg makes Nick Angel a likeable, straight-laced character who could easily be seen as arrogant and unsympathetic, while Nick Frost makes a funny, bumbling foil, and together they make another great duo that anchors the film, and their chemistry is great fun. I also love Timothy Dalton in it, and it's a shame he doesn't get the chance to do more comedy, as he's great in this. And Edgar Wright's direction is clever and displays an obvious love of horror and action films. And most of all, it's funny. What more do you want? So it'll be interesting to hear what other people think. So until then, I'm off to the shop for a cornetto. Thanks, guys. Cheers,
thank
Gareth.
you, Gareth. Right, okay, so that's 2-0 to you, rather.
Yep, 2-0.
2-0. Right, okay, so, see, I told you I've got a sense of these
No,
things.
stop it.
Right, anyway, next piece of feedback is from Matt Dillon, Chief Lord of GeekPlanetOnline.com. Exactly, yeah. And also the host of the Babylon Project podcast and formerly of Tangential Deviation. I think it's kind of sort of gone on hiatus for a little bit. Anyway, and he's an author as well.
Oh, he is, yes.
I don't know if he's got anything else. It sounds like sort of like Austin Powers, and he's an author, and he's a website owner. And,
He is Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah, exactly. Actually,
Matt
we should do
Buckaroo Banzai.
We
Dillon,
should do that film.
if we can find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually,
Anyway,
go into HMV before it closes down. I know it's been taken over, but it will become a T-shirt shop at some point.
Anyway.
We're going to see if we've got it in there.
okay, well, we'll have a look. Anyway, so he writes, "Hello, chaps. Excuse the multiple emails. Not sure which address to send to you these days, but hopefully one of these will get to you. Just so you know, the Blackdog at geekplanetonline.com does seem to be working just fine. Thank you everyone who's been using the feedback at blackdogpodcast.com, but you can use one or the other now. It seems whatever glitch was going around seems to have gone away, so pick one of the email addresses and it's all fine.
Yep.
Right, okay. So he continues. So, Hot Fuzz. Sounds vaguely filthy, doesn't it? Sounds like it should be a title of a porn movie starring two big hairy blokes. Like that time Lee and I went to Reno and... no, hang on. What was I supposed to say? What stays in Reno? Oh, sorry, Lee. Anyway... After Shaun of the Dead, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect from Hot Fuzz, but I was looking forward to what Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg would come up next. The idea of an American-style cop movie set in a sleepy English village seemed doomed for farce, but as Shaun proved, Wright can take the genre staple and inject humour into it rather than the other way round. So I had high hopes. Back in 2007, I had thoroughly enjoyed it, so I was curious to see how this movie had aged over the 5 years since its release. As it turns out, I still enjoy it, but a lot of the lustre has tarnished. While Shaun remains an excellent horror movie, I would argue an outright classic of the subgenre, right up there with American Werewolf in London, Hot Fuzz seems to be trying a little bit too hard, and as such raises my hackles a little bit. Not enough to spoil the viewing, mind you, but enough to make me wonder whether or not I'll feel the same in another 5 years. My memories of Pegg's performance are always something a lot more stiff, with a greater edge of parody, but much like the old wives' tale of Doctor Who's wobbly sets, although there are occasional moments like this, for the most part it's actually far from the truth. He carries the lead well and clearly has a blast doing it. Likewise, most of the supporting cast, whilst appearing in my head as a bunch of sketch show character rejects, actually does a fantastic job, and for the most part remain in the background. Thumbs up there. Nick Frost, on the other hand, is nowhere near as endearing the second time round and comes across exactly as for what he is, the irritating comedy sidekick. For most of his lines, they're simply there to reinforce Danny's stupidity, usually by misquoting something somebody else has said. No, he's not Judge Judy and Executioner. And although one would argue that this is to offer another example of just how backward Sanford's police department is, that the function is already fulfilled by every other police character. Danny's other purpose, as the catalyst for the action movie cliches that Wright and Pegg deliberately make sure the film contained, is also not required. Those tropes could simply have happily turned up within the film without Frost having to serve as an excuse. See? Haha. I'm not alone on that one. That said, Wright and Pegg nevertheless pull off a competent serial killer cop movie with a distinctly British tinge. I remember being quite pleased with how the twist was pulled off, especially in this post-Scream world, and the gore of VFX are damn fine. Moreover, the shootout in the movie's final act remains one of the finest I've ever seen on film, and fully justifies a rewatch. Okay. So all in all, you can put this down to a vote for Hot Fuzz being stamped as a rose-tinted specs, but whether or not I'll say the same in a few years' time is uncertain. Cheers, Matt. So thank you very much for that, Matt.
Indeed.
See, the post-Scream world, the thing was, that gag was lifted whole hog from Scream, but, hey-ho. But, at least I'm not alone in thinking that Frost's character in the whole parody was kind of way too heavy-handed. But anyway, moving on. So, Darren, you have Murray Christensen.
I certainly do.
Christensen. There you go. And
okay, so
what does Pie Man have to say?
Pie Man says this. Hello, Black Doggers. Hello.
Hello.
Thunderdome. Yeah. Hugo, etc.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of that. Hot Fuzz. I have a great love of this film, and I've enjoyed it every time I watched it. But it is Thunderdome, and I'm led to believe it is important, so critic hat on. Overall, still really like it. Maybe my love of dull action films, possibly its liking for Peg and Frost. Either way, it is good. Peg is trying a slightly different character in the buttoned-up Nick Angel, while Frost Danny does seem a bit like a variation of a theme of large, affable man-child. But it is a role he plays well. As for the rest of the cast, Timothy Bloody Bastards Dalton is glorious as almost too obvious baddie. He seems to be really enjoying himself, and his enthusiasm, while often barreling wildly into scenery chewing, is contagious. Jim Broadbent and Edward Woodward are both also good in their respective roles. While it could have perhaps made more of a mystery of the village murders, in some ways it would have been better if the audience actually weren't sure if Nick was just a bored cop looking for crime in a quiet village, or if there were many murders occurring. Or if there were many murders occurring, but that is really all the criticism I can muster. Oh, right, okay, so basically whether it was him or not. What I like, the way Nick and Danny slowly bond is fun. The brief, low moment where it looks like Nick has almost been beaten to mindlessness by the town is well played, and I love the little touches. Bill Bailey's twin desk sergeants, only distinguished by their choice of Ian Banks or Ian M. Banks. The crossword solution insults between Nick and the hotel receptionist. The way Dalton's character drops massive hints at how murders are going to occur, and then subsequently is on the screen with some appropriate music. All great. Finally, the end gunfight showdown. Just brilliant. Fun and exciting. From the old lady being kicked in the head. I love that part.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean to say I endorse kicking old ladies in the head. For the purpose of that film, it was fucking hilarious.
Yes. Kick old ladies in there.
To the low-speed car chase at the end. Perhaps it gets a bit cheesy, but I took that as part of the homage to action films and buddy cop movies. Overall, if you haven't guessed, I'm a rose-tinted Specs fan. I'm in the rose-tinted Specs camp. Roll on World's End. Keep up the good work, and thank you for picking a good film, Murray. Thank you very much, Murray. Pie Man.
Yes, Pie Man. Thank you very much, Murray. So what's the scores on the doors now? I got 4 to you, 0 to me.
So far.
Though I could have almost put a half and half with Matt's one, but he did say rose tinted at the end, which is
yeah, he did.
Son of a bitch. Right. Anyway, the next one is from, I think it's Steve Murray actually. Because it
says no one.
Yeah, unfortunately, it says no one on the email. Hold on a sec. Let me just check. Yeah, it is. So Steve Murray. So he writes, "Hello, Lee and Darren. How are you guys? Please mark me in the affirmative column for this one. I actually quite surprised with how much I enjoyed this movie the second time round. I first watched it when it was released on DVD, and at the time I remember feeling vaguely let down by it. I found the comedy fairly self-indulgent, laboured, and not very funny. I still do. I think I probably cracked a wry smile here and there, but that was about it. I do remember sitting there feeling quite disappointed that there was nowhere near as good as Shaun of the Dead, but then it isn't supposed to be. It's an entirely new creature, so by the power of Grayskull and with a fresh pair of eyes, I appreciated the humour much more and really rather enjoyed it. From Simon Pegg kicking out the underage kids from the local, when's your birthday? Every day. to Timothy Dalton's getting fuck punched from the back seat or in the car by a swan. No, that was Jim Broadbent.
That was, yeah.
Which was the one bit that I have to admit I still actually spat my tea out laughing.
What would you see the car just
just trundle straight into the fence? Yeah, but anyway, the main strength that I think is the main strength I think is the latter half of the film. The opening first half an hour or so are fairly weak, and only when the plot actually gains momentum does it find its feet and become an entertaining film to watch. On the whole, I found it that going into with little or no expectation this time around. I found that going into it this time with little or no expectation this time around, I could get a lot more fun out of it. It still had its problems, and it's still nowhere near their best work, but there's still a lot to like about it. Then again, I liked Paul. Cheers, boys, and I'll be down in the bunker if anybody needs me. Well, clearly, you don't need to be in the bunker. No. I need to be in the bunker because I'm the only one here. I'm all alone.
Lonely. I'm so lonely.
Right, so Darren, you have
Eric
Edens, Meeby Squee on Twitter.
Yeah. Okay, so Eric writes,
yes.
Thank you for letting me watch one of my favourite movies again.
No, thank you.
Definitely a pick for the greater good.
The greater good.
Whichever you doesn't like this movie can sit on it. I think you already are, aren't you? There we go.
I am. I'm sitting on this feedback right now.
The love beats. Like any great comedy built on a slim premise, the best jokes come from one-liners or recurring situations. Explaining the plot or the premise may not make the movie seem that interesting, but when viewed as a whole, the comedy and action hit on all cylinders. I'm sure you two will cover the flaws and triumphs in depth, so I won't do that here. But I will say, if this ends up being a shit cover goggles, I'll be sending a much longer feedback on the subject. If it matters, though, you might tally the likes and dislikes for English feedbackers and then Americans. I imagine this movie went over better for Americans.
Which was something we kind of touched upon, whether or not where the humour really lies. But I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I have to say so. I don't know where the divide would lie. But I think I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go. So there's 6 for you.
Mumble, grumble,
yeah, thanks for that, Eric. Anyway, I would continue. I would continue my conversation, but I'm too depressed. Anyway, hold on. Let me have a quick swig of my tea. Who have I got next? Oh, Mark LaHaye.
So I've just seen the opening line.
Oh right, okay.
The mail.
Okay, right, fair enough. Black dog. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? But anyway, hi guys. Thanks for welcoming my internet stalker. Sorry, wife, last week. She got a kick out of being mentioned. Hello, Mrs. LaHaye. Hello,
yes, Mrs. LaHaye.
Hello. Hello, Mrs. Patterson. Can I come to stay? Yes. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Is Mark coming out to play?
Yeah. Anyway, I have been slowly brainwashing her with the Blackdog and Shonky Lab. Yes, Shonky Lab. Fucking
bloody Shonky.
Fucking Shonky bastards.
Lab of Shonky.
Yeah, from his fucking evil lair, Pete. Shake my fist
fucking
at
volcano base.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I do believe I'm turning my wife into a geek. So, Thunderdome for Hot Fuzz, eh? Here goes. Well, I wonder whose side I'm going to fall on. I love this film, Darren's. It has movie references galore from your face, from the in your face to the subtle. The gore, which is on the right side, are gruesome to raise a laugh without raising bile. For example, the reporter's corpse tottering about a couple of steps with a chunk of masonry embedded where his head used to be. It's never fails to amuse. And it's so OTT, it's funny. The reveal that Bill Bailey is playing twins only works on the first watch, but it's still a nice bit of silliness. Nicholas Angel kicking the shotgun-wielding granny in the face was excellent. Danny Butterman coming up with, he's not Judge Judy, an executioner, was something I never caught until this watch, so thanks for that. The plotters of the village being called NWA, which I'm not going to read out what that stands for. For some reason, I can't fathom. I really get the giggle out of the Inspector Butterman describing his wife's suicide. She drove her Datsun Cherry into Sanford Gorge. Why do I find this line funny? I don't know, but I do. So, for me, Hot Fuzz is like a little gift of giggles that keeps on giving. It's a film for fans of the genre, and if you haven't seen the film it's referencing, then a lot of stuff will go over your head. Danny, it's Sanford, is the case in point. Haven't you seen Chinatown? You probably won't get the reference. My only minor gripe is it's a long film, and that slows down a bit in the middle. But the balance is that you have Timothy Dalton's wonderful performance as the pantomime bad guy, from his knowing quips to the music playing on his stereo taunting Nick Angel, to his slurred, "This really hurts," after his rather gruesome impaling through the chin on the model village church spire. Dalton steals the show, and all that was missing was him calling his heroes a pair of bloody bastards. A phrase you two may be hearing a lot more this year if you keep making us watch stuff that matches the quality of Star Trek Insurrection. Which reminds me, I'm off to take a photograph of my tackle to send it to the Shonky Lab boys for thanking them for suggesting that Beige Fest of a movie. Mark. Thank you very much for that, Mark.
Yeah, cheers, Mark.
Woo! That's another one for you. So that's 7 now.
Rightio.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Right, so next one I think is Sarah Lazel, aka Lucky Minty on Twitter.
Out.
Go for it.
Okay, hello Lee and Darren. Long time no feedback.
Oh.
Hot Fuzz is a really surprising choice for a Thunderdome, and it's a film I've actually seen for a change, so here's my little piece of waffle. I'm afraid I land on the meh side of the dome. I'm not really a fan of Hot Fuzz. I've only watched it once, though I thought it was okay, but absolutely no compulsion to watch it again. I'm afraid it's just down to not liking Peg and Frost anymore. Don't get me wrong, Spaced is and always will be my favourite show, but they can't be Tim and Mike forever. I've yet to see a film since Shaun, where they are playing completely different characters. I think if Hot Fuzz starred anyone else, I might have liked this film more, but probably not, as I don't think the film is actually that good in the first place. There you go, short, sweet. Chalk me up on the meh dislike side. So you got one there.
I got one. So it's 7-1. This is the recovery. This is the Rocky style recovery. I'm on the ropes, but no. Actually, I doubt it. Anyway, the next one is from Jack P. Starro. Yes. Sorry, just that name that's a cracking name. That's a proper superhero.
It's a sci-fi. It's
Flash Gordon, Han Solo-y
name. Isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Jack. Anyway, next piece of feedback from him, and he writes, "Hot Fuzz feedback, you cunts." Ooh, okay. Hot Fuzz, eh? I wasn't expecting to do my second ever feedback so soon, as the horrors of trying to complete my PhD thesis are pretty much keeping me from taking out the time to watch any films you announced that I haven't actually seen before. Perversely, though, I had, in this case, despite the fact that I had seen Hot Fuzz before, I did rewatch it, mostly to see if I was guilty of rose tinting my specs, and wanted to check if it held up as well as I had hoped after half a decade later. My fucking oath it did. I'm not a huge devotee of Simon Pegg, even though I very much enjoyed him in the films I've actually seen. I've not felt compelled to watch flicks I'd otherwise pass on just to catch him in them. After initially missing the boat on Shaun of the Dead, when I caught up with it, I found it very enjoyable. Though it's extremely clever, it did suffer from a smidge of hype backlash, as it had become such a cult film in such a short space of time. Also, I've got to say, I'm not a huge zombie fan, and that was even before all this Walking Dead stuff got going off the chain. So I didn't step onto Hot Fuzz with a particularly strong expectation either way. When I originally saw it in the cinema, what I found to be to my delight was a tremendously well-crafted comedy, and that was a very finely integrated mashup of Steppo cop flick cliches with totally incongruous application of heartbeat-style Pomeroy rural comedy tropes, and this was all tied together with a big bow that was on-screen comedic chemistry of Peg and Frost. Watching it again now after several years, I think I found it ever so slightly less laugh-out-loud funny, as I did remember a lot of the jokes, but conversely, I actually appreciated it a lot more as a piece of filmmaking. For instance, although I had noticed it the first time around the editing and the second unit ECU camera work was consistently spoofing the kind of Michael Bay, Jerry Bruckheimer rotating camera and tooling up sequences. And I found this actually quite actively hilarious, applied to all sorts of mundane activities like paperwork, dual wielding, ballpoint pens, etc. Never realising that editing could be such a fucking cack. Okay, I think that's either crack or maybe a misspell, or I don't understand the phrasing. Anyway, the other thing that really struck me was that what a damn good actor Simon Pegg actually is. Having seen him in a few other roles since and sort of mentally typecast him as always playing a slightly cringe-inducing, ineffectual git, I was actually really surprised at how credible he is as the straight-laced super cop with the ramrod buried firmly up his inflexible arse. Granted, it's not 100% shtick-free performance, but there are still occasional flickers of Peggisms and playing some beats for the laughs, but 95% of it he plays straight down the line, and that's what makes it so much more of a scream. I'd also forgotten how fucking funny Nick Frost was as well, having eschewed Paul, which looks painful, and not really seen him in anything else since, other than his disturbing cameo as a dungeon baby man in Riot's fake trailer Don't from the Grindhouse. I think I'd basically forgotten how wonderful he is as a totally sweet dweeby simpleton who befriends the cold new super cop and brings out his humanity. There's a particular moment where they're in the locker room doing the oft-repeated exchange, "What are you thinking, pub?" And Frost diagonally sprays himself with deodorant, and it's quite studiedly over-casual gesture, the delivery of which makes me crack the fuck up for some reason.
Can I just say, by the way, watching the actual the outtakes, they had to do that shot with the spraying.
Yeah.
They had to do it about 4 or 5 times because they kept bursting out laughing. There was an awful lot of them bursting out laughing in the outtakes as well.
Yeah. Well, there is a rule of thumb, though, isn't there? If it looks like the actors are having fun on set in the film, chances are it's not a funny film because only they are enjoying it.
Right.
But anyway, obviously this is clearly not the case for this film, despite what I might think.
You matter nothing.
No, nothing.
You know nothing.
Anyway, I could endlessly rehash all my favourite bits, but I shan't. Who has time for gushing when some serious wankerism has to be splodged across the podcast? So, while I fucking loved the film, I did find one aspect less appealing this time round, when this shit gets real and we run headlong into the hilariously Bruckheimer-esque shooting spree. Although I still really enjoy it, I think this time round it just had the slightest tingling of annoyance that the shift in narrative logic. This is going to make sound like a petulant, overthinking, nitpicky cunt, so bear with me here, chaps. Although obviously this is a quasi-spoof comedy film, and thus not a movie that prizes inordinate amounts of realism, I did find it constructed quite a cohesive, credible world. In particular, a big part of its premise is that while Nick Angel is a super cop, he's a fairly believable super cop who has also lots of training, but also rare experiences with gunfights and car chases, and that most of his work involves paperwork and procedure, in stark contrast to Danny's unrealistic expectations of his maverick cop courtesy of Hollywood. So I can accept that with a pinch accept in a pinch that when faced with the absurd situation of Sanford conspiracy, Angel decides to emulate the loose cannon rogue cops from the movies Danny's shown him. Although I wonder if we're supposed to infer that he ever watches more than 2 examples shown, and go all die hard on their arses. Okay, that I can kind of swallow. I can even swallow the blatant absurdity of all the council elders going about their daily lives secretly armed to the teeth with hold-out weapons and trained to use them. Fine. But what I find nigglingly annoying is the way Angel goes about his rampage, in practically arming himself to the teeth with unwieldy gun-sprouting backpack for a ridiculous sight gag riding a horse, and proceeding to indulge in a sort of cinematic John Woo baseploitation cliches, like earlier referenced jumping through the air sideways, firing dual-wielding guns, and other such Hollywood nonsense. While I could accept that Angel would take rash course of action, I found it just a smidge too silly this time round, and he would have abandoned his highly effective real-world SWAT-style training and start emulating the wildly stylised impractical moves of movie action heroes. Sure, I suppose the temptation to have them pull these kinds of moves off was too delicious to resist, but I do wonder if the same effect would have been essentially achieved by relying on the dialogue action Dialogue, situation, spoofy, supercut editing, the big rotating camera pans, and possibly just Danny emulating the moves whilst having Angel behave somewhat realistically, despite getting into Bruckheimer-y spirit of things. Yes, I know I'm nitpicking it to death, and frankly it's a minor complaint. I really love these sequences and find that they're uproariously funny. It's just that this time round I was much more taken with the impressively faux realistic Bobby Angel than was for most of the movie. That I found this to be a bit of a shift, to be a bit of right peg wanting to have their cake and eat it too. And on a related note, I find it kind of odd that this film has so much graphic violence, yet none of the conspirators actually die in the epic shootout. It's almost as though they felt like the young cops gunning down a load of old people, however murderous, even in self-defense, sort of, would have been too palatable. Was it just that the thought since they couldn't kill off Danny's father because they wanted the Point Break callback, then it would have seemed odd that they had blown everyone else away? I really don't get it. But look, I really do love this film, and when all's said and done, I love the humour. I love seeing venerable old thesps like Jim Broadbent popping up and popping caps, and swathes of cameos from the likes of Bill Bailey, Steve Coogan, Martin Freeman, Bill Nighy, and even the weird little obscure cameos from Cate Blanchett and Peter Jackson. While there are undoubtedly a strain of self-indulgence to this film, it's kind of self-indulgence I usually really like. The similar kind of Rodriguez and Tarantino, in that they don't just spoof so much as celebrate. Whether you see that as a rip-off or a homage, you can tell that they make the kind of movies that they would want to see themselves, and you can really tell that the collaboration between Wright, Pegg, Frost and is born of shared humour of true chums that is particularly brought home to me after subsequently watching the first time the documentary on the DVD, which spends 40 minutes just following the trio around America on their press tour and the absurdly childish antics they get up to, which made me giggle and reminded me of hanging out with my own best mates. Anyway, that's another long one. Sorry, gents. All the best. Love to the podcast. And always remember to punch that shit. Wow. Thank you very much, Jack.
I think he liked that.
I think he does like that. And I tell you what, if his PhD's anything like that, I think he's on a pass already.
Good Lord, yes.
Right.
Okay, you've got
That's
Dave Giacola.
Well, that's an MP3.
Oh,
so
that's
we'll
an
skip
MP3, so we'll
so
save
skip
it till
to
later.
Bob Haleman Lamont. Over to you, Darren, while I
Okay.
chalk up another bloody one for you, you cunt.
Okay.
Anyway, so go on then.
Bob writes, Dear Commissioner Metcalf and Constable Barnard,
As it fucking should be.
I like Hot Fuzz. Let me rephrase it. I love this film. It's not my favourite of the three films that Pegg and Frost have done. That's Shaun of the Dead. But I have to say that I really enjoy it. It has a great cast, highlights being Jim Broadbent and Timothy Dalton. Bloody bastard!
Bloody bastards.
Another of my favourite things being the piss take of village life, i.e. trying to catch the swan, etc. As someone who lives in a village, it's not too inaccurate. The other thing that makes me laugh in this film, even though it shouldn't, is the over-the-top violence to the evil old fogies. I can see why someone would not like this. It's got the constant comparison to Shaun of the Dead. Some of the jokes in it are hit and miss, and a lot of the performances are really arch, especially from the bad guys, leaving you in no doubt who they are. But as someone whose favourite actor is Gary Oldman, you can guess I'm okay with these. The film accomplishes what it sets out to do. It makes a Hollywood-type police thriller using regular uniform-wearing British bobbies. I find it funny, and the story keeps me entertained, which is all you can really ask from a movie. So I come down firmly on the side of this film being a rose-tinted specs. Speak to you later, lads. Bob Lamont. P.S. Bloody bastard! Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Robert. Robert. Okay, well, that's another one to you then, sir.
Yes, indeed.
Cunt. Right, okay. So, next one is From the Deathbed of Michael Geacock. Yeah. From a mortuary somewhere in South Chine, we have Michael Geacock, whose one single mobile arm has typed out this missive. Actually, I don't know what's happened to him. I know he's been in hospital.
He's apparently been in a coma.
Has he?
Near death state, apparently.
Near death state?
Yeah.
And then what was he admitted to hospital for?
Well, it's got it actually in the actual feedback. So why don't you go ahead and read it?
Okay, I'll go ahead and read it. Hey, Lee and Darren. As I said in the group, I will be stuck in hospital for weeks as I cannot play properly without better access to movies. Fournier's gangrene tends to do a bit of damage, so specs and goggles are off the list until surgeons can rebuild me. Wow. Did anyone at the last Blackdog shindig about 2 years ago shake hands with this man?
No.
Okay. If you did, disinfect. just make sure you're clean.
Burn your clothes. Sorry, it's very distasteful.
It is very distasteful.
Yes,
It is very distasteful, but don't worry, those metal legs, they you can hardly notice them these days.
If it was good for Douglas Bader, then it's good for you. I mean, look, he flew a plane.
If it was good for Alex Murphy, it's good enough for you, mate. Just remember, when they say lose the arm, say no, and don't let them put those fucking 4 directives in your head. Anyway, he goes, as this is a Thunderdome, I wanted to get a vote in and say Hot Fuzz is brilliant. Just as good as Shaun of the Dead. 2 thumbs up. Hope to rejoin the normal specs and goggles just as soon as they put all my bits back where they're supposed to be. Mike J.
Well, get well soon, Mike.
Yes, and if you can't get well soon, make sure that you've got those jars nicely labelled so that they can put you all back together again like a game of Operation.
Yes, indeed. Can I have a go?
Yeah. Michael G. Cock, a mad doctor's kid from MB.
Oh, fuck it all!
Does his nose light up? Sorry.
Probably, yes. Right.
Sorry, Michael. Hope you get well soon, man.
We're just joshing.
No, yes. We'll be raffling off his duodenum later, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Go on, Darren.
So we got one from Darren Murphin.
Yes, Darren Murphin. I think he's a new feedbacker, I believe.
Yeah, I think he is, yes.
Yes.
So, he writes, hello, Black Doggers.
Hello.
My first feedback on here, so I'll make it brief. What can I say about this week's Thunderdome movie, Hot Fuzz? Been a while since I last watched it, but remember enjoying it a lot and wasn't disappointed the second time round. Having a cast of England's best doesn't always make for perfection. I offer up the football squad as Exhibit A. But in this case, it's a winner. From Bill Nighy, Jim Broadbent, Paddy Constantine, Kenneth Graham.
Graham.
He's put Graham.
Okay.
Cranham. Sorry, Kenneth Cranham.
Okay.
To the best Bond of all, Timothy Dalton, who is excellent.
Yep.
The list goes on, but Heach has just the right amount of time on camera to make this film work beautifully. It's funny from the beginning, where we are introduced to Nick Angel with all his achievements to the sound of Goody Two Shoes in the background and Peter Jackson as the angry Santa. The story is excellent, clever and funny. Love the bit on the swear box where the only curse word not using asterisks or crossed out is cunt. Also, nice little link to Omen and Billy Whitelaw and the death of the reporter Tim Messenger. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Adam Buxton, or Adam from Adam and Joe fame. All in all, this movie gives you action and humour from the first siren at the beginning sequence till the end. Just what an action comedy should do. Anyway, that's my first review over. Thanks getting me to watch it again. Yarp. Darren. Leaps on tricycle of shame and disappears into the distance. Well, you don't.
No, you don't.
This is it.
Because clearly, including Darren, it's 12-4 and 2 against if you count me and Sarah in the bunker of shame. I will say one thing though, it underlines my point about the parodies, because I tell you what, the Omen thing, I got that as well. That's Patrick Troughton's death in in Omen 2.
Yeah, I completely
Omen 1, sorry.
I completely missed that. But I understand that now.
Yeah.
It's
But exactly, but that's the thing. That's a good parody, because you pick it up and you go, oh, of course. But, you know, if they had more time, I'm sure they would have had a scene where you were watching the fucking Omen. But anyway, moving on. Right, next piece of feedback is from Odile Thomas, who does a Firefly podcast, and I've totally forgotten it.
Sending a Wave.
Sending a Wave, that's it. Yeah. Sending a Wave, which you can find on iTunes. That's how I find it. There is another link, but I don't know where it is. Oh,
well,
shit.
iTunes is a very popular link, so we'll go with that.
Sending a Wave. So Firefly podcast, Sending a Wave.
And if you're one of these sort of people who are a bit pedantic and need to find out what the other link is, go and listen to the podcast, and then you'll find out, won't you?
Yeah.
There you go. Sorted.
Use iTunes.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, so she writes, "Hi there. Been listening to your podcast for a while, but never sent any feedback until today. I had to do it for the greater good, didn't I? Hadn't I? Greater good. Anyway."
Will you shut up?
You can't put Hot Fuzz in a Thunderdome and not have me send in some feedback. So my vote is a big fat yarp. Yes, I mean to say yes. Hot Fuzz is my go-to film if I need to cheer up. And how can one not cheer up when watching this film? It's packed with so many spoof references, so many different cop and action films. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are perfect and work so well together. A true gem. And now I need a cornetto. Odile. Thank you very much for that, Odile. That's that's 13 plus you. That's 14 votes for. Right. Okay, moving on. So you got Ollie Peters, 6 claw paw.
Okay. Okay, here we go. So, hey dudes. So Hot Fuzz it is. So Hot Fuzz is it? Well, to start, I don't think it's as good as Shaun of the Dead.
Thank you.
Dramatic pause. But I really like this film.
Ollie.
Good cast, a bloody bastard as a villain, and I never knew Bill Bailey had a twin. Very fun film with a good twist at the end. It's for the greater good. Greater good. After all the elaborate deaths and theories as to why, it turns out just to keep the village the best kept village. Awesome shootout, but didn't need the explosion and grave scene at the end. Need I say more? Well, I guess for one of you, I do. But fuck you, it's a good fun film.
No, fuck you. Fuck you, Benny.
Yarp.
Yarp.
Cheers, Ollie.
Yarp. Cheers, Ollie.
Yeah, thanks, Ollie.
Thank you, fucking Ollie.
Okay.
Anyway, right, so the next piece of feedback, which is an MP3, so you have to skip over Melissa's one, is from Herc. Heracles. I don't fucking know how to pronounce his name. But whatever.
Heracles.
No, the Heracles.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's
Herc. We've got Herc. He writes, "Hello, gentlemen. Good choice for a Thunderdome. I think the main thing which splits the audience is that it walks a fine line between spoof and affectionate tribute, ending up as an action-packed Wicker Man. So the change in tone for the last 30 minutes can be a bit sharp. The first half of the movie does the Wicker Man thing really well, with a nice sense of unease. But to get on board with the ridiculous last part, you're better off accepting the go big or go home way of thinking. Because if they didn't do that, you'd just be watching a 2-hour long, very gory episode of Jonathan Creek, and no one wants that. So, if you're willing to get with the program, there's a lot to enjoy here. They clearly love the genre. They use all the cliches, including the camera work, lighting, editing, and music to their advantage, and the mismatch of action and sleepy British village makes for some hilariously jarring moments. There's the speech, the music cue, they're off to meet the big bad, and they cut to Summerfield, customer parking only. Brilliant. The Neighbourhood Watch Association are both sinister and mundane, and the reveal about their motives subverting Peg's earlier Agatha Christie theory just got a big laugh out of me. Speaking of which, NWA, I will be somewhat surprised if the opening parody song isn't Fuck the Police. Well, it would have been, but we find doing parody raps a pain in the arse.
Well, I think it's just painful doing a parody rap.
Unless, of course, you're Dan Harmon, in which case we just start singing about fucking your mum.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, exactly. And if you don't know what we're talking about, just get on the podcast, the chooser of your choice, and look up Harmontown, because it is fucking brilliant. All right? And if you don't know who Dan Harmon is, watch fucking Community, you ingrates. Anyway, moving on. So, he continues. Timothy Dalton, he's magnetically smarmy and so much fun to watch him whenever he's on the screen. Bloody great. Romeo and Juliet is probably my favourite throwaway bit. I have to say, that did make me laugh. Love me. Oi. The line delivery on Poison, I'll Kiss Thy Lips, is spectacularly British porn, and there's a musical number, and I'm now laughing as I type this, capped off with a fucking priceless expression on Peg's face. Absolute gold. Yeah, I'll give you that. That whole scene had me in fits. That was good. Just look at his face.
It's that kind of shocking, you've watched two people just carpet.
Yeah.
Love me, say that you love me.
Yeah.
Fucking
Anyway,
brill.
right. Fun little visual gag. The one with Bill Bailey's twins reading Ian M. Banks sci-fi, and the other one's reading Ian Banks non-sci-fi. Both Andy sliding out of frame after arguing with Peg, then one sliding back in the frame briefly. Cheap laugh, but still funny. Edward Woodward's last words, "Oh God, no!" Perfect. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I like this film. There's so much attention to detail whenever you're in it. Whether you're in it for the cliches or the laughs. So it gets a thumbs up from me. Peace out, Herc. Thank you, Herc. You may go now.
Yeah, cheers, dude. Okay, so we have Matt Jones.
Matt Jones.
Okie dokies. And Matt writes, "Evening, Lee and Darren.
Evening.
I'm back out of the bunker that they call Shun for the first time, or for the first Thunderdome in a long time."
I believe we were releasing a playset of that very soon.
Oh, yes, we are. Or
Action figures.
We'll get Blue Peter to show you how to make a cheap knockoff version. I'm not 100% sure who's on which side this time, although Lee has the most hatred for films that other people tend to like, notably another film by this director. So odds are that Darren's for and he's against. Either way, here's my vote.
Cunning, Holmes. Cunning. How did you guess?
Yeah, see, he keeps us going. He keeps drawing us in.
Yeah.
Not giving away
Scott
too quickly.
Pilgrim's still fucking shit, mind you.
I think we both agree on that. I've always been a big fan of Spaced, and I love Shaun of the Dead. It's one of my favourite ever comedies, so I had high hopes for this when I went to see Hot Fuzz nearly 6 years ago. When it started off fairly promising with some decent cameos, including an unrecognisable Kate Blanchett, as it went on, I wasn't sure if it would compare too favourably, as it takes its time introducing its huge cast of characters, many of them veteran actors. As the vicious murders start to occur, though, the pace starts to pick up, leading towards a rather epic climax. Edgar Wright is on top form here with his energetic, fast-cutting style, integrating the numerous references to horror and Hollywood action films to the location of a seemingly sleepy English village. Peg and Frost have a great chemistry as usual. Fuck me, put their mouth into gear down.
Love.
It is, yes. They're the next thing to go. As by-the-book Angel gradually bonds with the daft but lovable Danny thanks to his love of 80s and 90s action movies, which I can definitely identify with. The other performances are excellent all round, with so many familiar faces like Edward Woodward, but I keep going to say Ewa.
Yeah.
Edward Woodward, Billy Whitelaw, and Raiders of the Lost Ark's Paul Freeman among the villagers. But the standout for me was the best Bond ever, Sir Timothy Dalton. He camps it up big time as a sleazy supermarket manager, Simon Skinner, who is painted as a prime suspect for the murders from the start. The eventual revelation that nearly the whole village is involved is handled well, and when it appears that the film is almost over, there's about half an hour of comedic action still to come. David Arnold's score really comes into its own in this last hour, as Angel literally rides back into town to kick ass. He ends up doing all the things that Danny quizzes him about earlier, such as firing a gun during a high-speed pursuit. I especially love the model village fight between Peg and Dalton that references Lethal Weapon and Danny's Point Break moment, where he can't shoot his police inspector father, the always brilliant Jim Broadbent. The script by Peg and Wright is brilliantly constructed, and the film, like their previous collaboration, rewards repeating viewings. As so many hints and gags are dropped early on that you don't pick up on the first time you see it. Although it doesn't quite hit the comedy heights of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz is a loving action send-up that certainly gets a thumbs up from me, and I'm glad you gave me a good reason to rewatch it. Bring on the world's end this autumn. Cheers, guys. Matt. Thank you very much, Matt.
Cheers, Matt. I'm going to have to refurnish the bunker Shun. Right.
You better go switch on the central heating.
Yeah, I was going to say, I better take my electric blanket down there, I think. Right. Next piece of feedback is from Neil Shepherd. So, Neil writes, the commander writes, "Evening, chaps. I have a confession. It will be shocking. Wait for it. I don't like Spaced. I missed it on TV but when people told me about it at length, it sounded like my potential favourite show. So I watched it and I was bored. I can't pick out precisely what was wrong with it. I love the actors in the other things. I get all the references. I can't say it's not funny. It's just I can't get into it. Oddly enough, the only episode I can get on with is the one with the pub crawl, which has barely any geek references at all. Confession 2. I feel the same way about everything the team has done since. I love Peg in Mission Impossible and Star Trek. I love Frost in Black Books and Tintin. I love Scott Pilgrim. I love Big Train. Put Wright and Peg and Frost together, however, and I hate it. I hate Shaun of the Dead, I hate Paul, and I hate Spaced. All of which brings me to Hot Fuzz, which I'm kind of fond of. Actually, somehow, it just kind of works. The film manages to parody Hammer horror, US action blockbusters and Heartbeat all in one cohesive plot. The cast are great, the gags are funny, I still piss myself every time Peg wakes up and says, "Decaffeinated?" All of this pales in comparison with the final genius sketch showing the village bobbies taking out the guns and shooting the shit out of the place. I'm fairly certain I don't get the kick out of it that a lot of people do, but I'll still sit and watch it every time it's on. I say rose tinted specs. Sorry for whichever one of you is against. Neil.
Well, thanks, Neil.
There you go.
I did wonder how that was going to go for a minute there.
Well, you
I
see,
thought, he's going to hate it, and then it's like,
Master of the misdirection.
What?
Okay, right. Over to you, sir, for
Okay.
Peter Organ.
Yes, Reverend Org.
Host of the Borg Cast, which you can find on Geek Planet Online and on iTunes. Now,
Okey
what
dokey.
does Rev Org have to say?
Okay, he says, "Hi guys, 2
Wow.
votes in favour of the Fuzz.
Oh, shit. Fuck
Incredibly quotable, diddly directed, and with a stunning cast of fine English thesps, with extra marks for Timothy Dalton, full on hamtastic villain. Anne-Marie always thought The Neighbourhood Watch was sinister, and the film scarily portrays quite a bit of Peter's childhood in a murky rural backwater, a tale for another time. Great fun all round. God bless the Orgs." Thanks very much for that, dude.
One email, 2 votes. Son of a bitch. Right, okay, hold on. So what's that? 5, 10, 15, 18, including you, 19, sir.
19. Wow.
Against my 2, if you
Wow.
include me. If you just include Sarah, it's just 1. Right. So, anyway, let's move on to Rory Fahey, who is on the Facebook group and has been posting up a lot of interesting questions about Batman. Feel free to jump in on those. Best and worst Batman, because that will seem really rather sort of interesting given our next film.
Yes.
Yes.
Now you see you've confused them.
Yeah.
What are we watching? Ooh. Oh, you're going to get a bit of a shock with this next one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Catwoman it is.
Yep.
Anyway, so he writes, "Hello, sirs, Medard and Barncalf. I assume that other feedbackers will address you fittingly by police ranks, like constable with affectionate emphasis on the first syllable. Constable. But I will stick to just Sirs Medcalf and Sir Barnard. Anyway, on to Hot Fuzz. I love this film. It ranks in my top 10 list of films so far. And so far, the 3 Flavors Cornetto trilogy is shaping up to be one of my favourites. This film is brilliant for so many reasons. Edgar Wright's signature directing style, the shitload of quality actors, the fact that they're both a parody and a homage to so many different films and cliches and genres, and the balance of action comedy. I think if you remove the comedy from this film, it still holds up as an action film, and vice versa, though the plot would be wafer thin. It might be my own ignorance, but I find it hard to imagine someone not enjoying this film unless they heavily dislike gore and profanity. Though, to be fair, how many of those people listen to this cast?
Well, 0 once they listen to it for the first time. We go, oh, there's gore and profanity.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm often sort of like, being stabbed in the eye by Lee and,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be your other fucking eye.
I bet it will, yes.
Anyway, right, so... even the shallow story adds up to the film's charm because you can always jump in at any point. What always strikes me is when I watch this film is it comes across as a very serious, dark film while being light and happy and silly film. depending on whose perspective you view it from, yours or Angel's. I also love the twins that Bill Bailey plays. I could go on forever about this film, but I will just end it here. Basically, I love it because it's silly, serious, light and dark, stupid and intelligent, and has Captain Freeze, you bloody bastards himself, being impaled by a model spire. Hot Fuzz is, in my opinion, for the greater good. Love you, podcast. Rory Fahy.
Thanks, Rory.
See? Okay. I'll said my bit. I'll fucking write the fucking thing down.
Okay.
Thank you, Rory. You? What you got next? Come on.
I've got Andy.
You got an Andy? Go for an Andy.
Yes.
Go on. Fucking Andy.
Mr. Pulistides.
Fucking whatever.
I've got him here.
Fucking, yeah. Just fucking read it.
Yes, friend of the podcast. Watch your boys. Real quick one from me this week. Enjoyed Hot Fuzz, and having lived in both London and Devon, will attest to its accurate portrayal of village life. Not as good as Shaun of the Dead, but that was a hard act to follow. So anyway, put me down in the light camp. For the greater good.
For the greater good.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so the next piece of feedback is from Martin Thompson. 4 men, 1 pub. Sorry.
Yes, 4 men, 1 pub.
Yes. Anyway. Evening all. So then, Hot Fuzz. I saw this at the cinema and about 5 other times thanks to multiple commentaries on the DVD. I would also recommend that the student film Edgar Wright made and Peg and Frost's wonderful commentary. But this is a Thunderdome and you just want to know my vote. It's all about the numbers and what they've done to the graph, as Dave Gorman used to say. Put me down as a like vote. When I first saw this film, I felt a bit let down, like something was missing, but I don't know what it was. Watching it again after a few years, I enjoyed it a lot more. I could never really dislike the film anyway, as it's still very entertaining, and is at least not another Four Weddings or Lock, Stock clone. I'm surprised that this is such a contentious one, really, but I can see why people would dislike it, particularly with its type of humour and Edgar Wright's directing style. I wonder if he just uses a whip pan on that pancake day. Okay. Even once you realise that it's meant to be a parody of action films and go OTT with the violence, then it becomes more fun. There are some lovely touches, such as the song playing in Timothy Dalton's car whenever a body has been discovered that perfectly fits the crime. This time round, I particularly noticed the scene as Angel clocks all the underage kids, the over 18s only sign, and suddenly goes on a weight of the law does a weight of the law crash, close of the eyes, and then the fact that his phone signal went down further as he went into the country. Mind how you go, Martin. P.S. At this point, imagine me walking off into the distance like the end of the bill. Well, thank you very much for that. Yeah, okay. Right. Thank you very much for that, Martin. Yeah, another one for you. Right, so, Darren, I think you got Rosmosis next.
I certainly have. Right. Oh, no, that's not part of a... Sorry, I'm just looking at the page here. It's the actual disclaimer she's got at the end of her mail. I'm thinking, oh, there we go, all the way. No, it's not. Okay, right. So, Ros writes, feedback for Hot Fuzz. First off, a belated thanks for the Blackdog podcast.
Oh,
I'll throw in feedback your way a few times and keep forgetting to say thanks for your hard work in bringing this large slice of audio goodness to our lugholes every week. Cheers.
No,
get off.
Get out of it. Yeah.
Punch his shoulder. Okay, Hot Fuzz. Put me firmly in the yay camp. It's not just because I have a weakness for Simon Pegg and British cop shows, but it's just so much fun. I remember Edgar Wright talking about how he and the Pegster wanted to do an action film with uniform bobbies rather than plain clothes types, as it seems that the British police uniform didn't lend itself too well to action. In that, they certainly succeeded. Hot Fuzz is fun, gory, over the top and brilliant. Okay, it drags a bit towards the end, and it's not as good as Shaun of the Dead, but frankly, what is? Cheery bye, Rosmosis. P.S. Didn't anyone else but me find it odd that the boy from Gloucester, Simon Pegg, played a Londoner, and the boy from London, Nick Frost, played a Gloucestershire... well, almost as believable as Simon Pegg's Irish and Scottish accents, eh? There you go.
Nice. I thought Simon Pegg was from the West Country. And I thought Nick Frost was from the West Country. Okay, well, I don't know. Anyway, clearly, yes. Right.
I have got Simon Pegg's autobiography.
Yeah.
indoors. I'll have
You
to
had the
read them.
chance to speak to him, but you bottled it, didn't you?
That was way back then.
Yeah.
I'm a lot calmer now. I've had the tablets and stuff.
I almost introduced you to Nick Frost and you bottled that. Oh.
Me and Nick Frost acknowledged one another. Thank you very much. He was on the dance floor giving it some of that. And I looked at him and I went, all right, mate. And he went, all right. And that was it. There's all the interaction I needed. I didn't need to stand there going, you're bloody wonderful, you are. And him going, get away from me, you freak. Before I beat you with this sock full of coins that I've got just
Conveniently
handy for nutters like you.
This mace.
Yeah, before I beat you to death with this cornetto,
Nice. Right. Okay. So the last piece of written feedback is from the Facebook group, and it's from Mike Higgins, Jack Burton of the Highways.
Of the highways.
Rolling down to Dallas, my wheels provide my palace. Up to New Orleans, who knows where? Do.
Do you know what
Yeah.
I kind of think of with him now is there was a series called The Highwayman. Do you remember that? It was about a bloke who drove around in a truck solving sort of crimes on the backwaters of America. I think it was Sam J. Jones that played him.
Yes, it was.
Yep, and there was apparently there were loads of these highwaymen scattered around America. Sort of like,
It's like a secret organisation of truck drivers.
Yeah, and yet the only one we ever saw was this. I think it was an Australian bloke that talked like this. It was another one of the, Highlanders, or sorry,
Highlanders.
He was a Highlander, yeah. He drove a truck, yeah.
Yes, the Pork Chopper Express.
He sure
Highlander.
did, yeah.
Right. Okay. Anyway, Mike writes, as this is a Thunderdome, I'll add my voice to the noise. Hot Fuzz is what Simon Pegg and Nick Frost do best, and with that, it is nothing that they haven't done before. Not a bad thing, if that is what you like, but if you're wanting something else or something new, look elsewhere. I laughed where I was meant to, and with that, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't Blazing Saddles to make me want to go again out of my way to watch it over and over again. So yes, I liked it, but by the slimmest margin of the skin of its teeth. There you go. Which is almost the one for me, I guess, but I'm going to have to put it in yours.
Yeah, slimmerest shiver.
Hold on, so that's 20. That's 24 to you, 2 to me.
Bloody hellfire.
Yeah, pretty fundamental.
Well, you know what? If
Kicking,
you're gonna get beaten, get beaten
beaten
by
hard.
a fucking large margin. So you go, well, there's no way I could have come back from that.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on to some MP3 feedback. And the first piece of MP3 feedback. Oh god, I've taken my glasses off now. I've got to read the fucking screen. Hold on. Oh, we've got. The first piece of feedback is from Melissa and Sean. There you go. Of the Question Podcast.
Yes.
And you must listen to them. You can find them
a fantastic
on
podcast.
Yep, thequestionpodcast.com. You can also find them on Gmail. No, not Gmail, on iTunes.
Yes.
Anyway, so listen to those guys and get involved with their questions every week. And let's hear what they have to say about Hot Fuzz.
Hey, Lee and Darren, it's Melissa.
And Sean.
And this is our feedback for this week's Thunderdome film, Hot Fuzz.
Yes, Hot Fuzz.
Yes, a movie that at this point we're really not sure why it's a Thunderdome and not a solid rose-tinted specs.
Which one of you does not like this film?
Yeah.
I love Hot Fuzz.
Me too.
And it's actually a movie Melissa had seen before. Which
Yeah, that's unusual for me. And I actually think I like it better now than I did before.
Yeah, I mean, the only criticism I could come up with for it is that it's a little too long.
Yeah, it's maybe about 20 minutes too long.
Yeah, and then being that this was done by the same guys as Shaun of the Dead, the only thing I could think is maybe some people don't like it because they've decided to compare it to Shaun of the Dead, because it's not as good as Shaun of the Dead, but
no,
it's a different genre, but they do basically the same thing.
It's the same type of treatment. They do the same type of treatment to like action buddy cop films in Hot Fuzz as they do to the zombie horror genre in Shaun of the Dead,
and they do it well. They play it straight up. It's kind of like Naked Gun, but played closer to the vest.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I do think that liking
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and being a fan of Spaced and all that. Like, I think that does help, but it's not a requirement by any means.
Yeah, I the first time we saw it, I wasn't a huge fan of Simon Pegg. Not that I disliked him or anything, but just I wasn't as familiar with his work as I am now.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great, and now I guess because I'm more familiar with him and I really like what he does, I think that's why I like it even better now.
Yeah, and I think it's a fun, absurd movie. I mean, I absolutely love the end scene with the village and just the over the top violence. It's cartoonish type violence almost, with all these old people, shooting up the entire town. Shooting up the entire town, especially the priest.
Oh, I know, the priest was
Fuck
great.
you, grasshopper. Like, I just love that.
It's such an awesome, absurd little movie. It takes the formula of every one of those, action buddy cop movies, and doesn't stray from that formula. It stays very much within those parameters.
It plays with
and it plays everything. They play everything very straight, but at the same time, you realize that it's complete satire. It's complete send-up
just the
of
fact
that genre.
Just the fact that Simon Pegg, like Mr. Tiny Little Uber Nerd, would be like tough cop,
Mr. Badass
like
cop.
that. Just that alone makes me laugh. But he does it. He plays it straight up, and he plays it well. I think it's brilliant. I love it.
It's watching Simon Pegg play an action hero is kind of like, for me, watching Christopher Walken do comedy. It works because it doesn't really work.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Like, Christopher Walken's funny because he's not funny, and Simon Pegg is a great, satirical action hero because he's not an action hero.
Yeah, it's a gag. But it works so well. So I give thumbs up. I give Hot Fuzz a thumbs up.
Me too.
So
I give it 2 thumbs up as a matter of fact.
So we've got 2 votes for Hot Fuzz. Sorry to whoever it is that doesn't like it.
Yeah, and I'm highly suspicious of whichever one of you it is, because how could you not like this movie?
Well, maybe they saw it and had a change of heart.
I hope so, because
I hope so.
This is a film deserving of lots and lots of love.
I'm going to predict victory for Hot Fuzz. I can't see how a majority of people wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll agree with that. So,
all right.
Yeah, that's our vote. Two sets of thumbs up for Hot Fuzz. And
we look forward to the third film that they're making, which I don't know what it is yet and what genre they're tackling, but
it's
I heard it's on the way, so yay.
Yeah. So we'll probably be hearing about that in news at some point.
I would imagine, or someone else might decide to bring it up to be repetitive. Who knows? All right.
All right, thanks guys.
Bye.
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 And thank you for the highly suspicious nature that you're now placing me under. Yeah. I'm sorry, but, I can't just go with a majority because everyone likes it. And like I say, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. I just can't get behind it in the way that everyone else seems to. There are funny moments. I've already admitted them. The Shakespeare, the yarp, narp, but I just it's not doing parody properly. It's not doing it in a way. It's too blatant, and that fucking camera work just drove me up the fucking wall. Anyway, no, sorry. Anyway, I've already explained myself.
Yes, you have.
Yes,
the rifle was coming out. The tranquilizer rifle was going.
I know. I see the look in your face. It's all right. Fine. I understand. God Almighty. Anyway,
we're doing so well. We're doing so well.
One day I'll win a Thunderdome.
One day.
I won't just bet on the wrong colour or fucking whatever it is you say. Anyway, let's move on to the next piece of feedback. The next piece of feedback is from Brandy and Dave of the Inside Outcast, which you can find on geekplanetonline.com and on iTunes. And so, let's hear what they think of Hot Fuzz.
The Baltimore Ravens are going to the Super Bowl.
Oh my God. Everybody's like, oh, well, the Patriots will beat them. They'll cream them. No fucking way. Beat them by 15 points. Suck it, Tom Brady. Okay, enough of that. Sorry.
Okay, so, Brandy, this is Thunderdome, so what did you think about Hot Fuzz?
I saw Hot Fuzz in the theater with you and our friend Alan, and I fucking loved it then, and I fucking love it now.
Same here. I think it's a great mashup between being a parody and being an homage.
Yes.
I like how it lifts from the Michael Bay way type films, as well as touching on things like Lethal Weapon and all the other buddy cop movies.
Well, everything you see in the action movies that they're watching together, they do.
Yeah.
Everything that is set up, everything you see Nick Angel doing, he does later. Nothing is wasted. Nothing goes unanswered.
It is a perfect movie by the down in front standards. It sets up everything, it pays off. It tells a story. It has, the development.
The greater good.
The greater good. I love the misdirection.
Yes.
You think it's one thing and it turns out to be another. The comedy's great. The gore.
Oh my god, the gore is awesome.
Following on Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, wow.
Using gore for comedic effect.
Poor Tim Messenger.
A lot of the editing for really mundane things, like doing paperwork or riding a train. The really quick, sharp, Tony Scott-style editing.
It's influenced by many films, but a ripoff of none.
And that's what makes a good parody, because Galaxy Quest is similar to that.
Yes.
And it's a parody at the same time that it's a loving send-up, that it pays homage to what it's parodying and becomes a thing of itself. And this is very much the same way.
Yeah, I loved it. I still love it. I will always love it. Some people may think this is blasphemous, but I love it more than Shaun of the Dead.
With me, it also just
barely
inches out ahead of Shaun of the Dead, because Shaun of the Dead is great. It has the whole homage to the Romero zombie films, and it has really good comedy and stuff, but the characters I find a little lacking because they're just kind of slacker losers.
Yeah.
With Hot Fuzz, there's something more going on there, and I think the characters have a bit more heart.
I actually found it funny because when we sat down to watch Hot Fuzz in the theater, and it started out with all of Nick Angel's accomplishments, I thought, okay, this is some guy who apparently really thinks he's great, but he's not that great. No, actually, he is that great.
Yeah, you think, mate, is this a dream sequence? And then you realize, oh, he is a really good cop that takes law very seriously, a la Judge Dredd, in a weird way.
Well, and I love the opening cameos when they finally get into the real story with Martin Freeman and then Steve Coogan and then Bill Nighy.
And then, Kate Blanchett is the girlfriend?
Yes, uncredited. She's not in the credits, but that is Kate Blanchett under that mask.
Yeah, you can kind of tell by the eyes.
Oh, you can tell by the eyes and the voice. I love Kate Blanchett. She's a good egg.
And I love how it uses Simon Pegg as the straight man.
Yes.
Because he's just really straight-laced, by the book, cop, thrown into the situation where he's surrounded by really crazy people. And that's where the comedy really shines.
And it even has the fake ending.
Yes, that all those movies have. The Die Hard thing that is like, I never touched a gun until I shot a kid, but guns are okay now because I shot a bad guy. Which I guess is the message of that movie.
Let's not get into the whole gun thing because then I'll start ranting. Anyway. Yes,
but Lethal Weapon had a similar one where the second in command came later and there was a big battle. So yeah, that's fake ending, the double ending, that's very familiar to that kind of cop movie.
Indeed.
So yeah, thumbs up here.
Definitely. 4 thumbs up.
Yep. So yeah, we are definitely in the Hot Fuzz camp.
We are, indeed.
In fact, we have it on Blu-ray and watched it recently with the outtakes because...
The outtakes are brilliant.
They're brilliant.
They're wonderful. They're some of the funniest outtakes I've ever seen ever.
Yeah, my favorite being the deodorant.
I don't know. Pub?
Pub? So that's it for us. And I'd be surprised if there's that many that don't like it, but we'll see.
We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home.
Wow, you got singing from Brandy.
All we need is life beyond the Thunderdome.
Bye.
Boom. Sorry. Yeah, well, you know what? As I said right at the outset here, I did say that I think I'd be fairly much on my own with this one. And, that's fine, but this was a film that I knew that I didn't like, Darren did, so it was kind of like, it was a natural one for a Thunderdome. But there you go, another 2 votes to you, Dal.
Indeed.
Anyway, you can listen to Dave and Brandy on the Inside Outcast. I don't know what the hell they were talking about at the start there. Was that American football or something?
Yes, it was. There was a Super Bowl recently.
Was there?
Yes. I think it was a Super Bowl.
Was it a Super Bowl?
Yes.
Oh, or a Super Bowl finale or something. Because usually when it's a Super Bowl, you can always tell because there's like about 7,000 new trailers.
No, wait a minute. Super Bowl's normally in February.
Maybe it's the semis or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll be honest with you. My sports knowledge you could probably write down on a postage stamp and still have space for my shopping menu. Right. Anyway, thank you for that, guys. And yeah, sorry to be the fly in the ointment. I think.
But you play the villain so well.
Mwahaha. Yeah, fire. Do do do. I'm willing to burn.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, next piece of MP3 for back is from, I think that's John Campion. There you go. And so, I don't think he's on any podcast or anything. He's just
he's just John Campion.
He's just John Campion, feedbacker. And so we shall hear what John has to say about Hot Fuzz.
Hello, Blackdog. Right, let's get the obvious thing out of the way first. Hot Fuzz isn't Shaun of the Dead. It really suffered from that when it first came out. I'd liked Shaun of the Dead so much that anything coming after it was going to have to be very good. And while I don't think Hot Fuzz is a bad film, it's certainly not up there with Shaun of the Dead. Part of that might be the material that's being parodied. I'm a fan of action films, but I'm not a big fan of those 90s buddy cop movies. Bad Boys in particular gives me a dreadful headache. I'm not sure whether that makes me biased, but for my money, Hot Fuzz can be a bit self-indulgent in its homage to those films, and it's also tricky to parody a genre that's already pretty ridiculous successfully. Beyond that, I think there are 2 points where you'll either go with the film or be turned against it. One is the discovery of the weapons cache, which is there to set up Angel's return and fight against the NWA. And the second is the fake death of Angel, which Edgar Wright himself seems a bit uneasy with. He shores it up with 3 instances of ketchup being mistaken for blood. You've got Danny's trick, the fake death, and then one of the Andys in the supermarket as well. Maybe he thought it was a hard sell. If you can't buy into those 2 set pieces as a part of the world of the film, I think that's where it begins to unravel a bit. On the other hand, this is a world where the Neighbourhood Watch Committee can murder people for decades without any investigation, and for gloriously, hilariously petty reasons, which is all very English, seemingly. So you either have to go with the conceit or abandon the film completely there. My vote's a positive one, though. The film has some decent gags, and it manages to keep them going even through the mystery element of the film. The one that sticks out for me there is the living statue popping up amongst the victims in the dungeon, and the action sequence. Remember the slightly bemused Best Village committee who have that one scene in the shootout. Also in that late part of the film, Skinner's plaintive "this really hurts" after he's been impaled on the church's steeple in the model village is lovely, blackly comic little moment too. I bet everyone else has mentioned it, but I'll just add to the chorus of approval. I think Timothy Dalton is obviously having a great time making the film, and he's brilliantly cast. He's positively vulpine in the relish he has for the role. The rest of the cast are great too, and if anything they overshadow the leads a little. It seems like more of an ensemble piece at times than a film with 2 distinct lead characters. I don't think it suffers for that, but maybe, given the source material that's being parodied, the lead should have been stronger. So anyway, for Thunderdome, my vote's a yes. This is a good film. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a residents' association meeting to go to. Chap next door's got the most unbelievably common-looking gnomes.
You go show those motherfuckers with those boring gnomes.
Yeah, damn right.
Thank you very much for that, John. For a second there, I had a little flutter in my heart thinking it was going to go my way. But then it didn't.
And then it was just clutched away from you. last minute.
By the way, seeing as I'm gonna have to obviously win favour round from the tsunami, I would just say that one thing he does bring up does again back up what I'm saying. That whole thing about like labouring the point with Danny's fake death of fake stabbing of Angel. Now again, you have to see it once with the eye, then you have to see him actually put the book in. You have to have several references to the book saving your life over and over and over and over again. Then you see the book going into Angel's pocket, deliberately done. Then you have to see him also fucking put a fucking satchel of fucking tomato ketchup in there. You have to then see him stab him, and it's like, it's just so fucking blatant. And then obviously, as John mentions, then one of the Andys gets, don't worry, it's bolognese, in the face, and it's just like, it's just that sort of over labouring a joke. But anyway, I listen to us talking about over labouring a joke. How many times have we killed Darren Diamond with a spinny hubcap finale? But anyway,
yeah, but it's a different killing. Every time. This is it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, anyway, so yes, thank you very much for that, John. And I did like the end there. Right. Yep. Okay, so who have we got left?
I think it's the final one there, isn't it?
No, I think we got one more. I can't remember if we got one more. We have no. How can we forget this? We have the guys from the Irish Pubcast.
Of course, we do, yes.
Wayne Talbot and the fellas who you can hear doing a pubcast on Geek Planet Online and on iTunes. From the sound of the opening salvo, a lot of them don't listen to this cast. Wayne does, but they don't. So you're going to have to bear with this, and obviously it's going to start sounding like a pubcast that we do. In other words, not saying that they're ripping us off, but just saying that you're going to get a lot of pub background noise.
Yes.
So, without any further ado, let's listen to the boys of the Irish Pubcast.
Right, so the lads at the Blackdog podcast, our fellow Geek Planeteers,
who you promoted about a week ago.
Yeah, their last episode where they talked about, they gave their opinion on Lincoln, which is the contrary to my opinion. Lee found it quite. I think it was Lee who said he found it quite boring and actually fell asleep.
Right.
But no, they do a review or a debate on a film.
Well, there's nothing more boring, in fairness, than life-changing things that happen to thousands and thousands of people. There's nothing more boring.
Oh my God, I agree with you. You're being sarcastic, aren't you?
I know.
Shit.
It's the lesser form of wit, so yes.
But what this
that was
is,
more sarcasm, by the way.
This is they're doing on the next episode of the Blackdog podcast. They're doing a kind of a pros and cons or a debate about the film Hot Fuzz.
Right.
And I felt we definitely would be three lads who would definitely give our opinion on that movie. I think as a whole, though, together, the three of us would probably love that film.
I was going to try and make a joke and keep a straight face and say it sucks, but I cannot say that about Hot Fuzz.
If I had three thumbs, they'd all be up right now. It is a fantastic film.
It's part two of the Cornetto trilogy.
I used to say that it's like, it's a sequel. It's a sequel. It rocks.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's a nod to all the cop movies of all the years, from the likes of Point Blank by Lee Marvin, not the
to the Equalizer.
To the Equalizer. And the Wicker Man. And the Wicker Man, of course.
Midsommar Murders.
It's pretty much this kind of the main central theme is very Wicker Man-y.
Yeah.
Which funnily enough, I hated. Really? I hate the Wicker Man. But the only thing I like about the Wicker Man is Christopher Lee singing. But the Hot Fuzz itself, though,
and his yellow polo top,
and Britt Eklund's arse.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't think that was hers though. I think she said that wasn't her.
No, that was her.
No, she said.
There's a scene where she's rubbing herself against the wall.
I saw her.
She probably got it. Looks to the camera.
Is that definitely her?
It's her.
She claims it isn't her.
Well, I tell you,
maybe she wasn't happy about it.
It's enough to make me want to go rewatch the movie. But anyway,
that's a good song. Anyway, carry on.
Hot Fuzz. It starts off with a pure nod to Point Blank because I think they used the same sample from Lee Marvin's Point Blank, where he's walking towards the end start, where Nicholas Angel's walking towards him, shows his badge. Edgar Wright's ability to edit a film is lovely. The film itself, the central story, of course, it's a nod to a million and one of their stories, but it's just full of beautiful comedic lines, extremely well delivered, loads of cameos from all different actors, from English, stage to film. It's just amazing.
Complaining about him doing his job.
Anything that isn't James Bond that has Timothy Dalton is okay by me. And I mean anything.
I like Dalton's James Bond.
Do you know what? I do actually.
They're the only Bonds I like.
I'm gonna reel that in. I fucking did like the
Living
Bond.
Daylights, man.
The Living Daylights and License to Kill. Yeah.
Who was the female at the
Phoenix got his leg bitten off by a shark in that one. So
Yes.
pass.
But we digress.
Yes, we do. We love the Dalton. And the whole thing about Hot Fuzz had Bill Nighy in it, and we all loved the Nighy. And it was building up to what you hoped was going to be an awesome gunfight. And I like me a gunfight.
Yeah.
And holy shit.
That was fun.
It was amazing.
I mean, they pay homage to one of the shittiest movies, but they're so shit it's great.
Yeah.
Which Darren would probably think is lovely. Was Bad Boys 2. They don't even mention Bad Boys 1, which I think is a far superior film.
Shit just got real.
Yeah, shit just got real. And it's a case of there's some lovely lines as well. Irene loves Nick Frost. She just wants to mother him. She wants to take care of him. Which I actually sent him that in a tweet on Twitter once, and I says, do women just want to mother you constantly when they meet you? Because that's all my wife wants to do. And I got a one-word reply. It was, yep.
What he should have said was jog on.
Jog on. And again, I mean, the whole, your dad is judge, jury, and executioner. He's like, he's not judge, jury, and executioner. That's amazing.
So good. The thing that really always, without fail, makes me laugh so hard that I think I'm actually going to die is the swan.
Yeah.
They can't catch the fucking swan. Yeah. And of course I have a thing with swans where wherever they see me they pretty much attack me.
Really? They break your arm, man? They break your arm?
Yeah. There's evidence of this to the contrary. And so when I saw that in the movie, personally for me, I was doubled over laughing. Where you think they're going to make out.
Yeah,
that scene was like
that's in all of their films, all of their shows. Even in Space, that was in
comfortable,
there. But in Space, they played like a heterosexual gay couple. So, I mean, it's the way they do. It's their dynamic.
It's so perfectly well done.
But I mean, Edgar Wright went on after that to make Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah,
and has then been in development hell with Ant-Man since then.
Yeah,
but I mean, fair enough. He's due a misfire, I'm sure. I hope it's not World's End. It definitely wasn't Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is one of these films that you can throw it on at any time, which is funny enough because that's what in that scene where they go, after they leave the pub in the film and they go and they start watching all these like he'd never seen Point Break. What kind of a man has never seen Point Break?
Yeah.
You're
not really fully formed. Which do you want? I love that. It's like no. Which one do you want to watch first?
Yeah,
watching both of them.
And Hot Fuzz is one of those movies you can throw on at any time.
Point Break.
Point Break, not Point Blank.
Point Break.
There's 2 points in that film: Point Blank, and Point Break.
Yeah.
It is one of those films that if you just you throw it on, it just instantly makes you laugh.
Absolutely. I am thinking about going home and watching it after.
Look, an old woman gets drop kicked in the face.
In the face, that
right in the face, for fuck's sake.
His innuendos.
Oh my god.
His cheesy innuendos.
And he has the gangster maul as well. It's like, Mr. Skinner to the manager's office. Mr. Skinner. Yes. And Yarp. It's got a collection. It's got a collection of characters that are nods to old characters, but also unforgettable in themselves.
Yeah, and indeed they kill a mime who's still a mime when you see the corpse.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Come on.
Big bushy beard. Big bushy beard.
Yeah, and then all that for the greater good stuff. For the greater good. It's just perfect comedy.
For the greater good.
And huge props to Simon Pegg for playing it straight for most of it.
He also got so fucking healthy for it.
He did.
He was actually hopping over those.
Yeah, he did the whole thing. Apparently, he did it. And straight out, ironically enough, the film he made after that was Run, Fat Boy, Run.
And I think Nick Frost actually did run true.
That's it. Like it has a lot of nods to older films and other classic action movie buddy cop films, but it also has a nod to its own movie. Like it makes a nod to Shaun of the Dead with the whole like, what, you've never taken a shortcut before. And it goes to somersaults over all the fences, and then Nick Frost goes straight through them.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, and whoever has to debate that it's a shit movie, good luck to you.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that.
I don't know.
Stick a fork in there because you're done.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know how you're managed to do it, but I guess that's our feedback would be we give all of our appendages are sticking up for Hot Fuzz.
I can't think of a single thing about it that I didn't like, which is the mark of a great movie for me personally.
Yeah. I'm thinking that. I loved it. Yeah. If I had another thumb, I'd put that up too. But 2 thumbs for me.
Definitely. I don't know how they're going to get bad feedback on this as well, but there you go, lads. Hopefully that helps you. There's our little segment from Pubcast.
Take care, guys.
For our feedback of Hot Fuzz.
Bad feedback for Hot Fuzz is like finding a needle in a stack of needles. Good luck.
It is. Good luck. Actually, that means it'd be easy to find.
Could you just pick one up? No, the needle in a stack.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the needle.
Okay, great. So on that note,
ciao.
Lads, the Blackdog podcast, we're sorry, but we couldn't actually stop talking about Hot Fuzz after we finished that bit. So we're going to keep going. But we realised how many beautiful nods and winks are in this movie to everything. Like, we just realised you had the nod and wink when they find the cache of weapons in that caretaker from Hogwarts' shed.
They don't have a permit for this one.
What do you mean for this one? Just for this one. But when they open up the shed, the music that plays while the weapons are being shown is the music from the trailer of Lethal Weapon 3.
Yeah.
And what was it? The Tim Messenger character getting killed by the steeple.
And then walks around for a minute. I thought
that's a nod to Patrick Troughton's death in The Omen.
Yeah, which was hilarious.
Yeah. But the death of a doctor.
Getting hung up on the...
When he got, I was in pain. What, kill him off. I was just like, oh!
But you know what? He was still a suave motherfucker.
He was a suave. He could have
the whole Aaron as well. That was nice. But it's just, it's a beautiful film full of references, and it kind of like Edgar Wright is like, and I say this, and I'm probably going to get a lot of slack for it. He's like the smart Quentin Tarantino.
All right,
because
he's the English Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, okay, he's the reserved Quentin Tarantino.
Not full of himself.
It's like when they see that clip on Family Guy when they're talking about them watching English porn, and it's like,
they're all smoking their pipes.
Quiet. Would you like to have sex? Quiet. It's like that, is it? It's the quiet references.
Yeah. It doesn't beat you to death with it.
No, it's not like I'm going to make an entire movie that's a reference. It's like this is a movie filled with lovely nods and winks, but it's still its own contained story at the same time.
And how many times have you walked into Tesco's or Super Quinn or Quinn's or whatever and thought, I would fucking kill to have a gunfight in here?
It's like, where are we going to have a gunfight? How about Tesco's?
I'm going to have a gunfight.
It's all right, Andy. It's only bolognese.
I've accidentally killed a horse. Don't worry about it. Just leave it there. No one will know.
Absolutely beautiful. It was like all your childhood dreams come true that scene.
I would have loved to have been on the sideline as they're getting that. Like, just even one of the guys pushing the trolleys.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this hit and smash. Well, but in the riot gear as well.
This could turn into a podcast by itself, so we need to reel it in, and maybe next episode. No, we won't, because they're going to do it in their episode.
They're much better than us.
But yeah, they got to it before. So
when he hits the bomb at the beginning, it doesn't work, and you're like, it's gonna go, and then later it does.
Actually, tension.
When it does,
they managed to use by the power of Grayskull as a euphemism for exclamation, rather than a euphemism for the power of Grayskull. By the power of Grayskull, now it's like it's a terminology of shock.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is an awesome movie.
Indeed. And it is. And I mean, I know as much as Simon Pegg plays the straight man, it is Nick Frost's film.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah. You know, because Shaun of the Dead was Simon Pegg's movie.
Yeah.
Hot Fuzz is definitely Nick Frost's movie.
Yeah, go back to London.
Yeah, go back to London.
You know, that got a huge laugh in the cinema when I went to see it, you know.
And I say that every now and again when I want to get the wife to laugh just for no reason, I just go, I either say she's not Judge Judy or Executioner, or else go back to London. One or the other. Any of his character's lines from that film makes me
pretty much do it. Yeah.
It's like, what are we going to do next? And I just go, shh, pub. You know? It's fabulous.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
So it's a shame, because you would have made a great fucking Muppet. It is a great film, so good luck trying to debate that it isn't.
Yeah.
And for the second time tonight, folks.
Yeah. It's 6 thumbs up for Bookcast.
Laters.
Yes.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye
to our friends over in Ireland.
From London.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that counts as 3, and also I guess this counts as a mini episode sitting inside the cast.
Good Lord, yes.
So that's good. It's good. So if you like that sort of trivia laden sampler, then by all means go over and listen to the guys over at Irish Pubcast, which you, like I say, you can find on geekplanetonline.com. Or you can find on iTunes. I think they might have an actual website link, but I don't know what that is, so I won't bother even just trying to make it up out of my head in case I send you in the wrong direction. So that counts as 3. That's 3 for you. That's one. Yep. See? God.
So put it down on the old bit of paper. We're going to top these up.
I've done that. I've put them down as they said it right at the beginning.
Right.
So that leaves us with just one more.
All to play for.
all to play for. Yeah, there's one. Yeah,
it's like getting the snitch in Harry Potter. It's like, you win the game.
So hold on. Hold on. If Jim flies in my direction, I get.
If you catch him and put him through or you catch Jim as he's flying through the air, then you win. Okay.
Are you really going to play that double nothing? Are you really?
Well, no. If Jim actually appears and flies through the air, if you can catch him,
oh right, okay,
successfully,
okay. Oh right,
as he's barreling towards you at 300 miles an hour with your catcher's mitt on, then great.
Oh God. All right then. So you're not going to play double nothing
No,
on
I'm not
Jim's
gonna play
vote?
Double or nothing. No.
No. Oh, son of a.
There would be a riot if I did that, and he turned around and said I didn't like it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's a shit covered goggles.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh.
It'll be like 2012, the
Well,
tsunami.
Yeah, I've got
Andes.
nothing to lose. You see, so it's whether or not you want to take the bet.
No, you have got something to lose, your life, if you actually, we pull a trick like that.
No, fair
If
enough.
I agree to it, we'd both be hunted men.
Hunted down and shot.
Yes.
No, okay, fair enough. So it's down to our last piece of feedback. It is, of course, Jim Moon, and it is, of course, not the deciding vote anymore.
All to play for.
Oh, God. Hopefully I'll die before this podcast ever gets aired. Right, so let's hear what Jim has to say about Hot Fuzz.
It's always odd recording feedback for a Thunderdome, knowing full well that my feedback will be playing last, and possibly might be that crucial deciding vote. Well, on the off chance it's come to a cliffhanging finale, let's hear this totally unrelated to Hot Fuzz transmission, which I recorded on the subspace frequencies. Stardate, Charlie Tango Tea Kettle Barbecue. Captain's Log. Additional. Yo. You lot know me as Captain Picard. I should be called Captain Dickhard, bending Deanna Troy over the bench, giving it to a good, giving it to a French. Yo. And when I'm done and I want to blow, I turn to Gates, point and say, make it so. Yo. After she sucked me, then I bum her. I turn to Wesley and say, yo, fuck your mama. Yes, that's probably enough of that. So then, to Hot Fuzz. While it's very fondly thought of, I'd have to say it's not a perfect film. When I first saw it, and indeed every time I have rewatched it, I always come away with one impression, and that is, it's a bit too long. I think the film would be funnier if the pace was just tightened slightly. Now my problem isn't the fact that it tells a story as well as giving us some laughs. The problem is I think you could trim the necessary 10 to 12 minutes it could do with losing just by chopping out all the bits Edgar Wright insists on doing for all his cutaways. Now, sometimes they fit, but other times I felt, particularly on this viewing, they just get in the way. However, while Hot Fuzz is flabbier than Shaun of the Dead or Spaced, at the same time, who am I kidding? This is getting a thumbs up from me. I mean, you've got a wonderful cast of respected character actors rubbing shoulders with the cream of current British comedy alumni in a very traditional English comedy movie, which actually has its story roots as far back as the Will Hay feature, Ask a Policeman, in the 40s, and yet it's also filled with buckets of blood and the word cunt. And while it may meander getting towards that big, pyrotechnic, all guns blazing, blood squibs exploding finale, when that finale does come, it is a thing of absolute comedy joy. I mean, it's also true that the comic potential of taking all those big American cop movie cliches and setting them in an English village aren't fully explored. However, that's because it's also having fun and spoofing two other famous cinematic traditions, British rural horror and the classic village murder mystery. And while this leads to a certain amount of meandering in the film's pace, to which I've already referred, at the same time I think it makes it a richer, more interesting film than one that had merely just been taking the one-note idea of making Bad Boys 2 in Thomas Hardy's Wessex. So, yes, thumbs up from me. Not the best we've seen from Peg, Wright and Frost, but still a damn sight funnier than absolute turds like The Hangover Part 3, coming to a toilet I'm in a cinema near you this summer. Sorry, I can see why Edgar does it now. They get a bit addictive, actually.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, cheers,
Jim. Thank you,
Strung
Jim.
us out until about
yeah.
halfway.
I did like the Harmontown Picard rap. I've got to say. Yeah, see now that was good. Fucked your mama. I fucked your mama north to south. I fucked her in the ear, fucked her in the mouth. So anyway, sorry, not going to get into that kind of thing. Sorry, anyway. Thank you very much for that, Jim. And it's interesting that he brought up the editing and, you know, and the sort of length and the fact that it's sort of over-laboured a bit. And I kind of feel like everyone had a little flaw with it, and I just seem to have got all those little flaws and just rolled them together into one opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm not picking out anything to just be nitpicky. I just think every single one of those nitpicks bothered me more than everyone else.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame, really. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lost 34-2.
Wow.
It's fairly conclusive, I think.
I mean, right.
I can't say anything more than that, really. It's not something I mind losing about this one. It's not, like I said, it's not the worst film ever. It's just too much of some stuff and not enough of the others. Not enough subtlety, I think, is generally what it boils down to.
34-2. It's like old man with rolled up newspaper versus the Hulk. Pretty much of a foregone conclusion there.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm not surprised that I won. As I said, I lost. Sorry, I won in my mind.
In my mind.
Yes, but anyway, I accept the judgment as dealt out by the audience.
But I will return next time, Gadget. Next time.
Yeah, one day there'll be another Thunderdome and I will win. I bloody will.
Yes, you will.
Yes.
Shall we announce the next one?
Yes.
Not
First off, I've got to say thank you to everyone who sent in feedback. Thank you to everyone who took part in the Thunderdome, both on the Facebook group,
which is now 200 members.
Who's the 200 member? See, you've bloody forgotten, haven't you?
It's late at night, dude. You know, this is it. It's like, do you think I remember the name of everybody I meet? Like you, I have trouble remembering. I've got your name written down on here. It comes up as an alarm. Go to Lee Metcalf's house. That's what it says.
Well, anyway.
It says, go to Lee Metcalf's house.
Yeah, and you want to know who that is. So anyway, thank you to everyone who sent in feedback. Thank you to everyone who's managed to make it all the way to the 2-hour 40 mark of this podcast. And yes, it is just down to us to reveal next week's film.
Ooh.
Oh, for goodness
Here we go.
sake.
My alarm's just gone off on my phone. It says, leave Lee Metcalf's house.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it? Son of a bitch.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, well,
it says, get the fuck out of Lee Metcalf's house.
Really? Yeah. How are you going to do that when I'm driving you and it's 1 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, yeah. I didn't think that through very much.
You and your fucking clever phone. Anyway,
yeah,
so
right.
Next week's film is, well, it could have been the Thunderdome, I guess, but it's basically, I think it's got to come under rose tinted specs. Would you say, Darren?
I think so. I think very much so.
It's patently ridiculous movie. It is genuinely silly, camp, ludicrous, and just manic in every conceivable way.
Yep.
But we picked it because it's just bonkers film, and it's been a very long time since we've seen it, and lots of people refer to it, and lots of people have often sort of mentioned it, and of course our very own Mr. Jim Moon has mentioned it many times in his history of the Batman series on Hypnobobs.
Yes.
We are going to be watching next week Adam West's Batman the movie. Yes, not Michael Keaton.
No,
not Val Kilmer.
Not at all.
No Christian Bale in sight.
We've done George Clooney, if you pardon the expression.
Yeah, we are. And so, no Tim Burton. We are talking about the original old Batman.
Hold on while I whip up my anti-Bob Monkhouse device.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, and this is not influenced by in any way by the fact that it's only £4 in HMV. Not at all. Okay? So,
get your bat shark repellents ready.
Exactly. Get your bat shark repellents ready. Try and find a place to deposit a bomb and just get on with what could be one of the most ludicrous superhero movies of all time. So, if you want to send feedback in to the to us for the Batman Adam West version movie, I don't know how we're going to refer to this because we keep having to mention Adam West.
Well, let's see.
It's called Batman the movie, isn't it?
It's just called Batman the movie.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at
the Adam West Batman.
The 1966 Batman the movie. I think it's 1966.
Yeah, 1960 something. Anyway,
Yeah.
So yes, if you want to send feedback in for Adam West's version of Batman the movie, then send it in to blackdog@geekplanetonline.com or leave it on the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/the Blackdog Podcast, or send it to me on Twitter, which is Cartoon Beardy, though that might not be very much longer. and yes, we shall see you all next week. So,
by the way, James McKinnon. He's our 200th member.
200th member.
Yeah. Curse you Alzheimer's.
Yes, exactly. And so, congratulations to member 200 with your holy kudos point.
And tea towel. Commemorative tea towel. Commemorative tea towel.
Oh, I don't think we've sent it. May not contain tea towel. So, we'll see you all next week. We'll get our bat cowls on, and we shall join you. You shall join us all next Tuesday for Batman the movie, the Adam West version. So, see you later, Darren.
See you later.
See you later, everybody. Bye.